Yeah, soldiers, it's your boy the Anime Stage coming to your video, and this is, yet again, another Legacy fanfic reading, chapters 26 for 28. And a lot of you guys have said that these are your favorite chapters of the entire reading so far when I announced the thumbnail, so this should be pretty interesting to go through. But anyways, before I get into this, usual stuff, you know, follow me on Twitter, @stage4, Instagram, _stage4, and join my Discord server, which is linked down in the description. I will give you all reasons to follow as soon as I did in the video, so watch until the end, blah, blah, blah. Watch my community tab like a hawk, donate to my Patreon if you want rewards, and yeah, you kind of get the idea already. And stay tuned for some other videos that are going to be coming up pretty soon, so get ready for those. And finally, I did post my first Jujutsu Kaisen what if yesterday, and if you guys are interested in Jujutsu Kaisen as a series like I am, I would suggest you go watch that video, so I'll leave the link to that video down in the description. So yeah, go check it out if you're very interested. And if you haven't seen the last Legacy fanfic reading, I will leave a link to that in the description as well. Alright, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get right into the fanfic reading, starting off with chapter 26, Red Clouds and Old Hags. Here we go. Chapter 26, Red Clouds and Old Hags. With Tsunade. Two women could be seen walking through the empty streets of the town. The reason they were empty was simply because they were walking through a castle that made that town famous. The first woman had a slender frame and a rather large bust. She had brown eyes and long, pale golden hair that was strapped in two pigtails. On her forehead, she had a purple diamond tattoo. She was wearing a grass green haori with the kanji for gamble written in black on the back inside a red circle. Underneath, she wears a gray kimono-style blouse with no sleeves, held closed by a broad, dark bluish-gray obi that matches her pants. Her blouse is closed quite low, revealing her sizable cleavage. She wears open-toed sandals with high heels and red polish on both her fingernails and toenails. She also wears a soft pink lipstick. She also was wearing a necklace with a green stone, similar to an emerald. The other person was a fair-skinned woman of average height and slender build with black eyes and hair. Her hair is straight and shoulder length with bangs that cover her ears and frames her face. She was wearing a long bluish black kimono with white trimmings held closed by a white obi and open-toed sandals with low heels. They were Senju Tsunade, Naruto's grandmother, and a world-renowned medic and her apprentice, Kato Shizune. Suddenly, the earth started shaking, and the castle they were walking to visit exploded and came crashing down. As the dust started to clear, it showed that the castle was destroyed by a rather large snake and with two people on top of his head. "I found you," Orochimaru said from the top of the snake's head. "Orochimaru?" Tsunade said with her eyes widened. She hadn't seen her teammates in a very long time. It was approaching on 2 decades by now. "Long time no see, Orochimaru," Tsunade said. She knew Orochimaru was the missing nin, and as such was treating him wearily, especially since she knew exactly what he could do. "You are difficult to find," Orochimaru replied. "What do you want with me?" Tsunade asked, trying to get this over with. "You didn't come to talk about the past, did you?" Tsunade rhetorically asked. "Actually, I wanted to ask a small favor," Orochimaru said. "He doesn't look good. He looks like he's in constant pain," Tsunade thought, as she observed Orochimaru taking particular attention to his arm, which is limp at his side with bandages wrapped around it. "Tsunade-sama, you can already tell what we want," Kabuto said. "Find another one. I've stopped performing medicine," Tsunade flatly replied. "You can see very well the extent of the injury. There isn't another one," Kabuto explained. "That arm, that isn't a simple injury," Tsunade said, fishing for information. "A sealing technique. His arm isn't giving off chakra. It's as if the arm didn't have a chakra network to begin with," Tsunade analyzed. "What did you do to get that?" Tsunade asked. "Just something that happened when I attacked the leaf," Orochimaru said, and Tsunade's eyes widened. "You did what?" Tsunade asked, surprised. "Looks like Sensei did a number on you," Tsunade said, chuckling. "It wasn't Sensei. It was your pesky grandson," Orochimaru said, and both Tsunade and Shizune froze. "What grandson?" Tsunade said. "Don't tell me you didn't know," Orochimaru said, chuckling. Tsunade dashed forward and grabbed him by his clothes. "Answer me!" Tsunade yelled, giving off so much clear intent that Kabuto was sweating slightly. "Exactly what I said. Your grandson did this to me," Orochimaru said. "But he's dead," Tsunade said, and even Orochimaru got confused. "He seemed very alive Will you destroy my chakra network? Orochimaru said, annoyed. He still hadn't made up his mind on whether or not he would kill the brat or kidnap him for his experiments. Maybe he could clone him, and once the body was properly matured, use it as his own. But I got a letter from Sensei saying that no one survived the Kyuubi's attack, Tsunade said, shocked that her grandson was still alive. She knew that her daughter Kushina was pregnant at the time. Looks like someone has been playing games with you, Orochimaru said, chuckling. You see, even Sensei has betrayed you, Orochimaru said. Tsunade was lost in thought at the revelation. Her own Sensei had said that no one survived the Kyuubi's attack, and 14 years later she hears that her grandson is still alive and kicking. Enough of this, Tsunade said, and punched a nearby wall, completely destroying it. She would have her answers when she got to the leaf, and no one would stop her. She was about to dash towards Orochimaru when he started talking again. If you heal me, I'll bring back your daughter, brother, and lover, Orochimaru said, smirking, and everyone froze, and Tsunade started shaking. Don't you want to be with them, Tsunade? Orochimaru asked, pressuring her even more, and she started sweating, remembering everything she had lost. If I heal that arm, what will you do? Tsunade asked, making eye contact. I dislike lies, so I'll destroy the leaf, Orochimaru replied. Destroyed the leaf? Shizune rhetorically asked. Tsunade-sama, you can't accept this. I would like nothing more than have them back, but you can't heal his arm, Shizune stressed out. Shut up, Shizune, Tsunade yelled, and Orochimaru smirked. Tsunade sunk her head deep in thought. You don't have to answer now, Kabuto explained, and she raised her head. You'll have a week, and this kinjutsu requires human sacrifices, so it's up to you to gather free sacrifices, Kabuto explained. Tsunade-sama, let's kill them both here. With the state of his arm, we won't get another chance, Shizune said, but once she looked at Tsunade, she fell silent. Tsunade was deep in thought, almost unaware of her surroundings. Don't think just because I can't do hand seals, I can't put up a fight, Orochimaru said and bit his finger, drawing blood. The moment Tsunade saw blood, she started shivering and clutched her necklace. I know of your fear for blood, Orochimaru said, chuckling. We will be going now, and we will meet in 1 week, Orochimaru said, and both of them disappeared in a blur. We have Kisame and Itachi. Itachi and Kisame dropped the chase after Naruto without losing his location and started walking calmly through the town, bursting with activities. They were searching for an appropriate distraction for the Toad Sage. The Toad Sage was a well-renowned and self-proclaimed super pervert, and of course its biggest weakness was women. They were scanning the crowd until their eyes met with a woman that could get the job done very well. They calmly walked towards her and stopped in front of her. She had a slender body, C-cup breasts, well-toned and sharp legs, beautiful green eyes, and dark blue hair. She was wearing a dark blue dress that ended just above her knees. All in all, she was someone any man would drool for, and Dry would be no exception. Can I help you? The woman asked with a melodic voice as she watched the cloaked individual stop in front of her. One of the cloaked men lifted his hat, and the last thing she saw was a pair of deep, blood-red eyes, as if they were staring into her soul. We have Jiraiya, Hinata, and Naruto. The team was currently walking for the village in the hopes of finding good hotels so they could rest for a night, and the following day they would search for Tsunade. After a few minutes of walking, they all noticed a hotel and decided to settle in. As they were walking towards the entrance of the hotel, Jiraiya spotted a woman. Now, this wouldn't be a surprise to anyone since all of them knew Jiraiya very well, but the fact that said woman smiled and waved at Jiraiya actually surprised Naruto and Hinata. Jiraiya had hearts in his eyes as he saw the beauty that was waiting for him. Jiraiya didn't even need to think twice as he said, "Check in here and work on chakra control," Jiraiya said, and ran as if his life depended on him towards the woman who was waiting for him with a small smile. Naruto's sweat dropped when he told him to work on chakra control. At least it wasn't that bad, since Naruto's chakra control still could be better. Let's settle in, Naruto said, and started walking into the hotel when he noticed that Hinata wasn't following him. Something wrong? Naruto asked as he watched Hinata look at the roof of one building. No, Naruto-kun, let's go in, Hinata said, and they both stepped in and walked towards the attendant's desk, where there was an elderly man waiting. We would like one room with 2 beds to spend the night, Naruto said, and the man nodded. That will be 200 Ryo, the man said, and Naruto handed him the money and got the keys to his room. Both walked up the stairs and headed towards their room. Their room was located on the 2nd floor. They walked through a long hall before stopping at the right door. They opened it and walked in. It was a simple room with 2 beds, a couch, a table with chairs, a closet, and a small window aimed towards the town. Naruto immediately dropped his fan to the ground and plopped to the bed while Hinata went to look through the window and watch the activity going around in the town. After a couple of minutes, Naruto sat up in the bed and got into lotus position and started meditating. He took long breaths and sensed his heart rate slow down. He channeled chakra to his ears and he could hear everything. The water dripping in the bathroom, a small fly buzzing around, and even Hinata's heart rate. He decided to expand his senses to see if he could locate Tsunade around town, but was surprised he didn't feel any Hirashin seals nearby, and he placed one in Hinata's ring. Naruto opened his eyes and looked towards Tsunade, who was now sitting on the couch, reading something. His eyes trailed towards her hands and noticed that she still had her fox ring on. He tried once again to feel the Hirashin marker, but he couldn't. As he was sensing the mark, he felt that Hinata's chakra was different from what he knew. Something is wrong, Naruto thought as he watched Hinata carefully. She seemed normal for now, but her chakra was different and the Hirashin mark didn't work. Hey Hinata-chan, Naruto called out, gathering her attention. Did you know that Arasani said that my Rasengan wasn't complete? Naruto asked. No, I didn't know. What is missing? Hinata asked, and Naruto smirked. Naruto, faster than lightning, pulled a kunai and threw at the top of his speed towards Hinata. She didn't even consider that Naruto would attack her and got hit, and the kunai embedded deep on her right shoulder, missing her heart by a few inches. Not even a couple of seconds later, Hinata exploded in a puff of smoke, revealing that it was nothing more than a shadow clone. Naruto was about to sit down and try to sense her Hirashin marker when the door of his room was destroyed and two people were standing there. They were both tall and they were wearing a long black cloak with red clouds on them, and both had a straw hat with a small bell hanging there. Naruto couldn't see their faces, and as such he couldn't identify his enemies. His pervert of a godfather picked the worst moment to go chase after women. Naruto sensed their chakra levels and noticed one of them had high Kage chakra levels while the other was through the roof. One of the enemies was on par with him, not counting the Kyuubi. Where is Hinata? Naruto asked, but both of them remained impassive. They removed their hats and showed Naruto who exactly they were. Uchiha Itachi, Naruto said, and immediately his Sharingan flared to life. Looks like the rumors were true. You really have the Sharingan, Itachi said in his monotone voice. I will say this one more time. Where is Hinata? Naruto asked. If you touch a single hair on her head, I swear to Kami, I'll kill you both, Naruto said, pissed off. I'll bark but no bite, the shark-like man said, laughing. Kage Shuriken no Jutsu, Naruto said, and threw a single shuriken that multiplied upon dozens, heading towards both intruders. Kisame just swung his massive blade and swatted the shurikens aside, making them fall to the ground harmlessly. He will be annoying. Can I cut his legs? He won't need them, Kisame asked Itachi. Enough, Kisame, Itachi replied and turned to Naruto. Naruto-kun, as long as you come peacefully with us, and I will not be harmed, Itachi said in his monotone voice. So you are with the Akatsuki, right? Naruto asked, and both raised an eyebrow until it clicked in Itachi's mind. Dry told you, didn't he? Itachi rhetorically asked. Yes, he did. But enough of that. Where is she? Naruto asked. Now that would be telling, Kisame taunted. I've had enough of this, Naruto said it in former Shadow Clone. Find her. He ordered the Shadow Clone that immediately dropped to the ground in the low stance, with the original not taking his eyes off of both Akatsuki members. The clone extended his senses as far as he could to try to locate Hinata's marker. A few seconds later, he found it. I have her position, the clone replied, and Naruto nodded. Itachi and Kisame both wondered what he meant when he said he had her position. Go rescue her, Naruto said, and the clone vanished in a yellow flash of light heading towards Hinata's marker. That was the Hirashin no Jutsu, Itachi said, godsmacked, and even Kisame raised an eyebrow. After all, the Hirashin technique was well known for the world and the legend that created it. You think I wouldn't take precautions, Naruto asked, loud enough for them to hear as they watched him walk through the room and pick up a weapon they didn't notice was there. That's Madara's gunbai, Itachi thought as a small smile graced his lips. The kid was really full of surprises. Naruto channeled chakra to his storage seals and took a couple of three-pronged kunai. With lightning speed and precision, he threw them towards the Akatsuki members. Kisame was about to bring his sword up to deflect them when he was grabbed by Itachi and flung to the hall as Naruto appeared in front of him with a Rasengan in hand. Damn it, Kisame, pay attention and stop underestimating your opponent, Itachi said as Kisame got up. Remember what happened when you kidnapped Hinata? Itachi said, and Kisame pouted. According to Kisame, Hinata was a slippery bitch, and she didn't go down without a fight. Hinata managed to land a few juken strikes that would have crippled anyone else and kicked him where the sun doesn't shine, but thanks to his sword, the Samehada, he managed to reopen his chakra points and heal any damage. Fine, Kisame replied, and both took a stance. The brat might not be that good, but the Hirashin technique wasn't to be underestimated, and apparently the brat knew the Rasengan as well. Itachi activated his Sharingan, and both Sharingan users locked eyes as if measuring the power beneath them. Itachi was surprised when he saw Naruto's chakra aura around him. He seemed to radiate a power, but in a calm way. His chakra seemed powerful and violent, but yet Naruto was calm and collected. Be careful, Kisame. His chakra levels are on par with yours, Itachi said, and Kisame laughed. Finally a challenge. We might need to change the location if this escalates, Kisame said, snickering. He never knew someone that had as much chakra as him, and finding such an opponent was always good. We can't prolong this fight, or Jiraiya might sense his chakra, Itachi explained, and locked eyes with Naruto. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, but this is where it ends, Itachi said, and Naruto got confused what Itachi was talking about. Itachi talked as if his next move would ensure his victory. Naruto watched as Itachi closed his eyes and concentrated. The moment he opened, the ordinary free Tomoe Sharingan was replaced by a free pointed shuriken. Tsukuyomi, Itachi said the moment his eyes opened. You are using those eyes too much, Itachi-san, Kisame said as Itachi caught Naruto in his genjutsu. It was necessary. He knew how to use Hirashin and was going to prove himself difficult to catch, Itachi explained. Tsukuyomi world. Naruto's world shifted into something completely different. Naruto was now in an open field, but the sky was red and the clouds were sun-deep black. Suddenly, Itachi appeared in front of him, staring intently at him as if studying him. So, this is Tsukuyomi, Naruto said as he studied the illusion. This is the ultimate genjutsu with the Mangekyo Sharingan. In here, I am God. I control everything, even time itself. 3 days in here are but 3 seconds in the real world, Itachi explained. As Naruto was suddenly trapped on a wooden cross, and Itachi appeared in front of him with a sword. He seemed to be very proficient in this genjutsu, Naruto said, and turned to lock eyes with Itachi. How is your eyesight these days? Naruto innocently asked, and Itachi froze. He couldn't have. It's impossible. Not even the tablet says Mangekyo blinds the user, Itachi thought, as he eyed Naruto very carefully and wearily. How do you know? Itachi asked, actually interested. I know a lot, Itachi. I know you will eventually end up blind, Naruto cryptically said, taunting Itachi, but he didn't bite. Itachi studied Naruto very carefully, particularly his Sharingan. His chakra pathways beneath Naruto's eyes seemed very well developed, indicating he had the Sharingan for years now. You really are Madara's grandson. I've noticed that you awakened your eyes a few years ago, Itachi said, and Naruto nodded. I was 5 at the time, Naruto explained, and Itachi raised an eyebrow. You are skilled. A shame we must take you. Now, let's begin, Itachi said, and was about to stab Naruto when he got interrupted. How about we don't get started, Naruto said, and Itachi was surprised by his statement. Suddenly, Naruto's eyes started spinning until it turned into a completely new pattern. A Mangekyo? Itachi asked, surprised. He would never in a million years expect Naruto to have advanced his Sharingan to the next level. Suddenly the whole world froze and Itachi was rooted in place. Piece by piece, the Tsukuyomi world started shattering until nothing remained but pieces on the floor, like a mirror breaking. Moments later, Naruto was back in the real world, still staring at Itachi. Real world. Kisame was about to ask what happened when Itachi fell to his knees, clutching his head in pain and bleeding from his eyes. You broke my Tsukuyomi? Itachi asked, but it was more of a statement as he noticed that Naruto wasn't even affected by the genjutsu, and he broke it like it was nothing. Jinchurikis are immune to illusions. You should know that, Naruto said, taunting Itachi, and Kisame reacted by swinging his sword and trying to smack Naruto, but to his surprise, the sword phased right through Naruto. When the sword left his body, Naruto turned and tried to slam Rasengan into his chest, but to Naruto's surprise, the Rasengan was absorbed into his sword. That was like Madara's technique. It's because he is his grandson, Itachi thought, as he watched Kisame's sword phase right for Naruto. What the hell? Naruto asked when he noticed his Rasengan being literally eaten by his sword. My sword absorbs chakra. Ninjutsu is useless against me. Kisame said, laughing, and tried another swing, making Naruto jump back. Then Taijutsu was the only thing left, Naruto thought, and looked back at Itachi, who was still recovering from Naruto breaking his illusion. Ninjutsu is useless as long as he has his sword, Naruto mused and fought. Naruto decided to employ his strongest form of Taijutsu. He channeled lightning chakra through his arms and legs to increment his strength, and was using his Kami to outmaneuver Kisame. Naruto jumped in the air and tried a spin kick, making Kisame tilt back slightly. Naruto allowed this open and gave him an upward kick on his arm, removing the Samehada from his grasp. Naruto picked the sword up by the hilt, but was surprised when the sword's hilt expanded and shredded his hand's skin, making him drop the sword on the ground and clutch his bleeding hand. Taking this advantage, Naruto was forced to duck under a kick. Kisame saw Naruto duck and placed his hands on the ground for support, using his other leg to kick his shoulder and throw him back. Naruto used this opportunity and slipped an explosive tag on Kisame's chest without him noticing. Naruto was pushed back by the kick. He flipped midair and landed on the ground harmlessly. Kisame was grinning like a madman until Naruto placed his right hand in the tiger sign and said, "Kai!" and the tag exploded, killing Kisame. "Now for you," Naruto said as he walked towards Itachi, who was slowly regaining his footing from the pain he got. Naruto was about to attack him when he was kicked from behind and sent flying into the wall. Naruto shakily got up and wiped a bit of blood from his mouth. He had cracked a rib from that kick, but Kurama was already healing him. Thank God he had the fan on his back, otherwise that kick would have done a lot more damage. Naruto got up to see who was the author of said kick and noticed Kisame was grinning at him. "I know for sure you weren't a clone," Naruto said, surprised to see Kisame back on his feet like nothing had happened. "As long as I have chakra, my sword heals me for everything. I don't tire, and I never fall," Kisame said, grinning. "They're both dangerous opponents. If Itachi can use the Tsukiyomi, then you might be able to use those other two," Naruto thought. "Kisame, be careful. He has Mangekyo as well," Itachi explained, and Kisame took notice to Naruto's new eyes. He grinned, happy to see that he would have a good fight. Up until now, they all were doing lame missions without any worthy adversaries. Naruto was about to dash towards them when he received information from his clone. With Naruto's clone, Naruto identified Hinata's marker and noticed she was about a mile from their current location. He pulled the marker and was teleported to Hinata's location. He arrived at some room with everything dark. He activated his Sharingan to scan his surroundings when he noticed Hinata tied to a chair, all beat up with blood dripping from her lips. Naruto quickly made his way towards her and gently lifted her head to notice she was barely awake, but at least she was alive. "Hinata? Hinata?" Naruto asked, gently shaking her from her slumber. "Naruto-kun?" Hinata barely managed to ask. Her voice was slipping and she was in pain all over. "Don't worry, you're safe now," Naruto said, and warped her into his Sharingan dimension and placed her down on the floor, since he didn't exactly have a bed in his dimension. "Kuchios no Jutsu," summoning technique, Naruto said, and in a pool of smoke, Kagura appeared. "Kagura, hurry and help Hinata," Naruto quickly said, not even giving her time to realize where she was. Kagura immediately dropped next to Hinata and started doing a routine exam on her body. She was a bit bruised, but she didn't seem to have any external wounds. "Where are we?" Kagura asked. She looked at her surroundings since she was sitting on some metal cube. She looked around and there was nothing at the horizon but more cubes. The sky was pitch black, no sun, no clouds, no sound, no wind, nothing but emptiness and darkness. "We are in my pocket dimension created by my Sharingan. We are safe here," Naruto explained as Kagura was healing Hinata. "She has multiple cracked ribs as well as her left leg and a dislocated shoulder," Kagura explained, and Naruto clenched his fists. "They're going to pay." Hinata tried to say. "Shh, don't talk, Hinata. Rest now. You are safe," Naruto explained and gently kissed her forehead, and she went to sleep. "Kagura, take care of her. I need to inform the boss," Naruto said. Naruto saw Kagura nodding and dispelled in smoke. Back to Naruto. "You hurt Hinata-chan. You are going to pay," Naruto said, and they both braced themselves for what was coming. Their leader warned them about engaging a Jinchuriki, or even worse, a pissed-off Jinchuriki. "Come, Kurama," Naruto said to his partner.
"Yes, let's show them what happens when they hurt our mates,"
Kurama replied and started sending his chakras to Naruto. In the real world, Naruto was starting to get enveloped in a blood-red chakra cloak. His eyes maintained his activated Mangekyo, but his whiskers became more defined and his fangs elongated. Behind Naruto were 9 chakra tails swinging wildly.
"You are going to pay,"
Naruto said in a shockwave, and he launched himself at the top of his speed towards Itachi. The shockwave blew up the hall of the hotel and destroyed part of the wall. They all jumped out. Itachi and Kisame were running out of town with a pissed-off Jinchuriki on their tail. Both of them shared the same thought. "Shit," with Jiraiya. Jiraiya was happily walking through town, showing his date some fun and winning a few prizes for her, and Jiraiya didn't know if today was a special day, but the stores were bursting with activity and providing multiple games for tourists. You see that? Dry asked, and the woman giggled at his excitement. He did manage to break all the plates, but it was nothing special for a shinobi. Suddenly, a mass amount of chakra washed through the city, and even the civilians were panicking and running like wild chickens from the feeling they got. Damn it, Naruto, Dry thought as he was preparing to run towards his godson. Sorry, but I have to leave, Dry said, and jumped away from his company, quickly running towards his godson. We have Orochimaru and Kabuto. Both of them felt the Kyuubi's chakra being unleashed, and it wasn't very far from the location. It felt like he was about 5, maybe 6 miles away from them. Looks like the Kyuubi brat's in town, Orochimaru said, chuckling. Though I wonder what he could be doing to be using this amount of the Kyuubi's chakra, Orochimaru wondered. It might be the Akatsuki, Kabuto said, providing an explanation. Should we go help? Kabuto asked. Naruto-kun can take care of himself, Orochimaru said, chuckling evilly. After all, I don't pick weak and ordinary vessels, Orochimaru explained. But Sasuke-kun isn't even close to the level of Naruto-kun, Kabuto said. How very true, Orochimaru agreed. However, Sasuke is driven by vengeance, and he'll be easier to convince, and he also has the Sharingan. I would prefer Naruto-kun above all others, since he even has Mangekyo, but he won't come easily, Orochimaru explained, and Kabuto nodded. With Tsunade and Shizune, both women were at a bar, with Tsunade drinking herself stupid with sake. After what she just heard from Orochimaru, it wasn't particularly hard to understand why she was doing this. Even though Tsunade was lightly drunk, both of them could easily feel a chakra that washed through the whole town. The chakra felt like power beyond anything. It felt like it transcended human understanding. Tsunade-sama, do you feel that? Shizune asked, shivering. She knows very well what the Kyuubi did to Konoha 14 years ago. Tsunade asked, lifting her head from the table. Her cheeks were red from all the alcohol she had ingested. That's Kyuubi, Tsunade said, and she was performing a self-healing technique designed to quickly purge the sake from her system. Shizune, let's go, Tsunade said, picking up her jacket and running out of the bar, heading towards the chakra source. Hi, Shizune replied, following her sensei. Back with Naruto. Itachi and Kisame were running out of town with Naruto hot on their trails. They stopped near an empty field and decided to make their stand there. Kisame, we can't prolong this. Dry definitely sensed the Kyuubi's chakra, Itachi stressed out, and Kisame nodded. What do you suggest? Kisame asked. He dropped the playful attitude and took a more serious one. Ancient Cherokee using her Bijuu would be a dangerous opponent. The Tsukuyomi is useless, and using it again would most likely knock me out, Itachi explained. Keep him busy. The backlash from Tsukuyomi weakened me, and I need to gather chakra for the next move, Itachi said, and Kisame nodded.
So you finally stopped running?
Naruto asked, approaching both Akatsuki members. He was calmly walking towards them on all fours. Itachi jumped slightly back and started concentrating while Kisame stood his ground to face off against Naruto.
Let's play,
Naruto said, and rushed Kisame at blind speeds, but Kisame wasn't S-rank shinobi for nothing, and could track him rather well. He quickly approached Kisame and tried to punch him by extending his chakra arm, but Kisame jumped to the side. Naruto brought his chakra claw down again, but Kisame blocked it with his sword and absorbed the chakra, destroying the chakra hand.
So you can even absorb Bijuu's chakra?
Naruto asked, surprised. Bijuu's chakra was one of the most potent ones out there. Yes, and by the looks of it, Samehada likes your chakra, Kisame said, grinning, as Samehada was shaken with excitement at eating such good chakra. Suiton, Bakushi Shoha, great exploding water wave, Kisame said, and pumped his lungs full of chakra, exploding a gigantic wave of water that came crashing into the ground. Naruto jumped up to avoid being hit and landed back on the water once it calmed down.
Right on, Jibashi.
Electromagnetic murder, Naruto said, and shone lightning chakra through the water, trying to shock Kisame, but to his surprise, the sword absorbed it once again and the water remained.
That sword is annoying,
Naruto said, and Kisame laughed. I know, isn't it great? Kisame said. Suiton, Gosho Kuzame! 5 hungry sharks, Kisame said, and slammed his hand onto the water. As he poured chakra into the water, it started molding until it formed 5 sharks that started speeding towards Naruto, who remained in place. The sharks quickly arrived near Naruto and flew out of the water, trying to eat him, but Naruto just swatted them away like flies using his fan. In just 1 second, all the sharks disintegrated back into the water. Acting on the surprised face of Kisame, he quickly threw a free-pronged kunai towards him as fast as he could. Kisame snapped out of his stupor and jumped back as far as he could and managed to avoid a Rasengan to his chest. It seems Naruto-kun's range is limited to about 15 feet from the kunais, Itachi concluded as he watched Naruto's Hirashin. Itachi was gathering enough chakra, but he could still watch and analyze the battle for any weaknesses Naruto may have. Kisame, stay 15 feet away from the kunais, Itachi yelled out, and Kisame nodded. He figured it out, Naruto thought, a bit surprised, but Itachi wasn't called a prodigy for nothing. Naruto was busy in his thoughts. He didn't even notice Kisame appear right behind him. Suiton! Suiro no Jutsu! Water prison, Kisame said, and the water enveloped Naruto, trapping him inside a water bubble. I got you now, Kisame said, grinning.
No, you don't,
Naruto said, and using his Kama, he simply walked out of the bubble, much to the surprised face of Kisame. Naruto took the moment and with a well-placed kick threw his Samehada away from him. Naruto channeled chakra to his right hand and a swirling sound could be heard. Udama Rasengan, Naruto said, but he still couldn't maintain his big Rasengan and destabilize blowing up in front of him. Kisame's chest got a few deep wounds like they were made with claws and was thrown backwards, bleeding from his chest. Samehada quickly approached his master and healed him. In just a few seconds, Kisame was back on his feet. I really hate that sword, Naruto thought, sighing. If he didn't find a way to get rid of that sword permanently, this would go on until one of them ran out of chakra.
Katan, Kagyaku no Jutsu.
Great fireball technique, Naruto said, and this time he sent a big fireball powered by the Kibi's chakra towards Itachi, who wouldn't be able to dodge in time. Kisame quickly appeared in front of Itachi and said, Suiton, Suijin Heki, water wall, and a water wall rose up and blocked the fireball crane and missed a scene that quickly dissipated as it was an open field. Naruto, using the mist as cover, made shadow clones that took his place while the original went beneath the water and underground. Kisame was quickly running towards Naruto to keep him busy and away from Itachi so he didn't realize it was only a clone. Shadow clone explosion, a clone, Naruto said, and exploded. Kisame brought his sword up in time and blocked the fire and jumped back to find Naruto only to see him right in front of Itachi. The original Naruto quickly rose from the ground right in front of Itachi. Naruto's eyes were glowing with power. Naruto locked eyes with Itachi and whispered, Tsukuyomi. Naruto's Tsukuyomi world. Naruto dragged Itachi into his own genjutsu. Naruto, after seeing Itachi's Tsukuyomi, knew how to perform it. Since Naruto's Tsukuyomi was copied from Itachi, his world was similar. The sky was red with the sun, and the clouds were pitch black. Welcome to my world. In here, I'm God. I control everything, even time itself, Naruto said, smirking and taking a page from Itachi's book. Very impressive, Naruto-kun. To be able to use this technique on your first try, Itachi said. Thank you, Naruto said, and like Itachi, started stabbing Itachi with swords over and over, but Itachi didn't scream or wince once. But, Itachi said, and Naruto focused on him. You are still far away from mastering it, Itachi said, and the Tsukuyomi snapped like a twig, and they are brought back to the real world. Real world. Naruto was brought forcefully to the real world and arrived just in time to duck under a swing from Samehada. However, the sword still grazed him and yanked a chunk of his chakra, forcing Naruto into a free-tailed state. Damn, that sword can eat, Naruto thought as he quickly looked towards the Samehada, who seemed to grow in size quite a bit. This is it, Naruto-kun, Itachi said, and his right eye started bleeding. Amaterasu, Itachi said, and around Naruto, black flames appeared out of nowhere and started burning Naruto. Naruto was enveloped in the black flames, and his free-tail cloak proved useless against the heat and power of the flames. Naruto quickly activated his Kamui and walked out of the flames with his skin scorched. What? He can even avoid the Amaterasu flames, Itachi said, astonished. He would never expect Naruto's Mangekyo powers to be this powerful. It only proves that Madara is a real menace, Itachi thought. If Naruto is this powerful at such a young age, he didn't even want to think what power Madara could have. Naruto took a couple of heavy breaths and recomposed himself. Kurama had already healed the scorched skin, so Naruto was good to go. Naruto looked carefully at the black flames and analyzed them as best he could. So that's the Amaterasu, Naruto thought, and Kurama nodded as he had seen them before. If I didn't have the Kami, I would have to resort to Funjutsu, but it would take some time, Naruto pondered and thought. So that's how they're created, Naruto thought to himself. By making the particles vibrate to insane levels, he summons intense flames, and by making them absorb the radiation, it sustains the vibrations and makes their color black, Naruto concluded after looking very carefully at the flames. He would have to try this later, but it was time to end this.
Naruto, be careful. He may be able to use the Susanoo,
Kurama warned him. Itachi had already used 2 of the free powers of his eyes. I will, Naruto replied as he watched them very carefully. Itachi looked like he was about to faint. Being a half-blood with Mangekyo must be very taxing and painful. The brat is tough, Kisame said. Kisame was relatively healthy, and his shark reserves weren't even winded much like Naruto. Itachi, on the other hand, was a mess.
Time to end this,
Naruto said before coiling himself with his free tails around him. Naruto was enveloped in a blackish purple berry that blocked Kisame's view of Naruto. A second later, the berry exploded with a roar, and their eyes widened to what they saw. It was Naruto, however, it wasn't the one they knew. Naruto was now completely enveloped in the Kyuubi's chakra as it became his own skin. His ears were bigger, his eyes were still blood red with the Mangekyo, and he had 4 tails on his back. This was his version 2 cloak, and he looked like a miniature Kyuubi.
Ready?
The Kyuubified Naruto asked, smirking. You think you can scare us? Kisame rhetorically asked before flashing her hand seals and slamming his hands on the remaining water. Suiton, Sensho Kuko, 1,000 hungry sharks, Kisame said, and from the water, countless sharks emerged, all going towards our blonde. As the sharks were coming closer, Naruto simply raised his right hand/paw and slammed it to the ground with a huge force. A big shockwave emerged and vaporized all the sharks along with the water. When the dust settled down, there was nothing more than a crater with Kisame holding Itachi. We have severely underestimated the brat, Kisame said, taking deep breaths, and Itachi gave him a look that clearly said, You think? They didn't have time to think as Naruto was preparing his next attack. His tails were coiled around Naruto, ending just above the head. Blue and red chakra were seen floating in the air. Suddenly all the chakra started compressing until it formed a perfect spear, still hovering mid-air. Both Kisame and Itachi were watching very carefully just what he was about to do until he swallowed the chakra spear. He ate it? Kisame asked out loud. Naruto had just eaten the ball when Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizune arrived at the scene. Naruto, is that you in there? Jiraiya asked, but Naruto couldn't exactly speak right now. Jiraiya, what is happening? Tsunade asked to her teammate. She didn't have much experience in fighting Jinchurikis or using seals.
Brace yourselves,
Naruto managed to say before the ball exploded in his stomach, making him look like a hamster. From Naruto's mouth came smoke, and it was clear that something was about to come out.
Bijudama,
Naruto said, and a reddish ball of energy exploded from Naruto's mouth, going with tremendous speed towards both Akatsuki members. Itachi's eyes glowed just before the energy ball hit them and exploded, destroying everything. The ground was shaking like an earthquake, the wind was furiously pushing everything back, and everything was torn apart. Even the earth itself was destroyed. What in the world? Jiraiya was cut off as he had summoned the stomach of a toad to protect himself along with Tsunade and Shizune from the blast and the heat the wind was carrying. The blast is over and dust is clearing, and right in front of Naruto there was nothing more than destruction. Around Naruto was a 20-meter wide crater, but the real damage was directly in front of him. A 100-meter path that was blasted away. As the dust cleared, Jiraiya dropped his shield and his jaw dropped to the destruction ahead of him. The whole plain where they stood was now nothing more than rubble. Kisame and Itachi were still alive, as Itachi had a reddish humanoid bear around him.
That's it, Naruto. The Susanoo,
Kurama said from his mind, and Naruto watched as Itachi rose from the ground with the Susanoo still active. The shield withstood a low-powered Bijudama, Naruto replied to his partner.
That is a watered-down version of it. The real Susanoo can destroy mountains by itself,
Kurama explained, and Naruto got giddy. Kisame, we are leaving, Itachi said, and fainted. Kisame picked him up and as fast as he could, shushined away from the area. They were barely holding up against Naruto, but now Jiraiya and Tsunade had arrived. Naruto, are you in there? Jiraiya asked as he approached the Kyuubified Naruto with caution.
Yes.
It's me, Naruto said as he dropped his cloak and sat on the ground trying to catch his breath. What in the world was that? Jiraiya almost yelled out, pointing towards the blast field. That was Biju's ultimate attack. It's called a Bijudama, tail beast ball, and that is what my father based Rasengan on, Naruto explained as he got up to his feet and cleaned his forehead of sweat. You picked the best time to go peek at the hot springs. They kidnapped Hinata, Naruto said, and Jiraiya's eyes widened. Did you get her back? Jiraiya asked. I did, but she was injured. I've got a medical fox taking care of her, Naruto explained, and turned to see Tsunade and Shizune looking at him with their jaws on the ground. By the way, I found Tsunade, Jiraiya said, and everyone's sweat dropped. Hey there, Bachan. And that is the end of chapter 26. Pretty good chapter, and now we can move on to chapter 27. So let's begin. Chapter 27, Reunion. Hey there, Bachan, grandmother, Naruto said with a small smile as he was watching Tsunade and another girl who was with her. He had finally found the last bit of family he had. Although his grandmother was supposed to be around 60 years old, she didn't look older than 30. And they weren't lying when they said that Senju Tsunade was one of the most beautiful women on earth. Better be careful, Naruto. I might just slide in there real quick, if you get what I'm saying. You better be careful, my guy. I might just become your grandfather, if you get what I'm saying. I'm so terrible. Anyways, Tsunade was just staring at the blonde in front of her that had just decimated the field where they were standing. The moment he turned, her breath got caught in her throat. The moment she saw what he looked like, that golden blonde hair, those deep blue eyes like an ocean, and when Jiraiya called him Naruto, she started shaking. He's a carbon copy of Minato with longer hair, Tsunade was thinking. After all this time, she thought she was alone in this world, that her family was all gone, and now she finds her grandson not even 10 feet in front of her, just smiling at her. Tsunade didn't know what to think or do, and did the only thing she felt was right. She blurred right past Jiraiya and Shizune and engulfed Naruto in a deep hug while crying happiness. Naruto-kun, Tsunade whispered while hugging him fiercely as if he wasn't real. Tears were rolling off her eyes and falling to his shirt. Ba-chan, Naruto replied while sobbing and hugging her back. He had finally found family, and he was happy that Tsunade didn't reject him or leave him if her reaction was anything to measure by. Jiraiya and Shizune watched the scene and with smiles on their faces. This was what Tsunade needed. She needed a small bit of her family back, and she got it in the form of her long-fought, dead grandson. They ended the hug, and Tsunade cleaned her tears while her eyes were still red. She crouched in front of him. "Let me take a good look at you," Tsunade said. Her voice, filled with so much happiness, was intoxicating. Naruto just chuckled and rubbed the back of his head, much like his father did. Tsunade was observing Naruto as best as she could. He had long, blonde hair with bangs that framed his face and slightly covered his right eye. His eyes were deep blue like an ocean, and he had 3 whisker marks on each cheek. "You are so cute!" Tsunade squealed and hugged him again, making the other sweat drop. "I bet you have a horde of fangirls back home," Tsunade said, laughing. She seemed to have forgotten everything that had happened today. She was finally happy and didn't want to let go of this feeling. "Speaking of girls," Naruto said, breaking the hug. "I'll be right back," Naruto said and swirled away into his eyes. Tsunade caught the blood-red Sharingan eyes, but filed it for later questions. Naruto reappeared not even a second later with a girl in his arms and a small fox on his shoulders. Hana had already been healed and was now sleeping peacefully. "Who is she?" Tsunade asked as she watched the girl that Naruto was carrying bridal style. "She is Hyuga Hinata, my girlfriend," Naruto explained, and Tsunade nodded. He figured that a fine-looking brat like him would already have been snatched by someone, but she would see if the girl was worthy. "She was kidnapped by Itachi and Kisame, but I managed to get her back and summoned a healing fox," Naruto explained, and turned towards Tsunade. "Can you check her just to make sure?" Naruto asked, and Tsunade bit her lips. As long as there wasn't any blood, she would be fine. Tsunade's hand started glowing green and started scanning Hana's body from head to toe. She seemed to stop briefly on top of her chest as if assessing the damage. She had a couple broken ribs and a dislocated shoulder, but she's fine now. She only needs to rest, Tsunade explained, and Naruto sighed in relief. "I owe you, Kagura," Naruto said. "Not at all," Naruto-sama, Kagura said, and disappeared in smoke. "Look at the mess you made," Jiraiya said to Naruto and kicked a piece of rubble on the ground. "They kidnapped Hinata-chan, so I tried to kill them for real. I wasn't messing around against them," Naruto said in a serious voice, and Jiraiya could only nod as he watched the devastation in front of him. "What flames are these?" Jiraiya mused out loud, looking intently at the black flames that were burning the rock and showing no signs of stopping. "Those are Amaterasu flames," Naruto said, and Jiraiya looked at him. "They can only be summoned by Mangekyo Sharingan and can't be extinguished by anyone except the one who summoned them in the first place. They'll burn for 7 days and 7 nights. They are as hot as the sun and can turn anything to ashes," Naruto explained, and Jiraiya's eyes widened. "That was some powerful Katan jutsu right there." "You said a Mangekyo?" Jiraiya asked, and Naruto nodded. "Does that mean you can do it as well?" Jiraiya asked. "That would be a major power boost to Naruto if he was able to perform this technique." "I know how it works, so I just need to try it," Naruto said, and Jiraiya nodded. "And I also know how to do the other one, the Tsukiyomi," Naruto said, and Jiraiya nodded again. Naruto was becoming more and more powerful by the day, and these 2 techniques he just gained would make him deadly against anyone. "So I wasn't seeing things when you warped away with some techniques," Tsunade said towards Naruto. "How can you have the Sharingan? You're no Uchiha," Tsunade stated. "Actually, I have Uchiha blood," Naruto said, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow. "What do you know of my father's parents?" Naruto asked. "He is an orphan. He never knew his parents," Tsunade replied, and Naruto smiled. He never got tired of people's faces when he told them about his grandfather. That is not true, Naruto said, grinning her grandmother. He knew very well who his father was and lived with him for the first 5 years of his life, Naruto said, and Tsunade concentrated on him. Don't leave me hanging. Tell me, Tsunade said, and Naruto picked the fan up from his back and placed it on the ground, grabbing it by the hilt. Is that? Tsunade asked, and her eyes widened when she pieced everything together. My grandfather was Uchiha Madara, Naruto said in laughter expression. She was gaping like a fish out of water, and Shizune was as pale as a white sheet. This was his fan, and he passed on to my father, and now it belongs to me, Naruto explained. But, Tsunade tried to say, but her voice wasn't quite reaching. Madara Jiji didn't die when he fought Hashirama Jiji, and later on had a son, and named him Namikaze Minato, Naruto explained. Who am I to doubt him? Tsunade thought to herself, chuckling. Until now, she didn't even know Naruto was alive to begin with. How about we continue this at the hotel, Naruto suggested, and everyone nodded and left towards the hotel that Naruto had rented. Erosanin, Naruto said, and got a tick mark from the old pervert and laughs from both women. I should warn you about the hotel, Naruto cryptically said. Back at the hotel. The hotel itself was mostly fine, if you don't count the chunk that was missing on the right side of the building. When Naruto entered his cloaked version and sped towards Itachi Kisame, he unleashed a shockwave that tore down almost half the building. I hate Shinobi! The owner of the hotel was yelling through the streets while trying to clean up as best as he could. Not that a broom would help much against big chunks of rock and concrete. The owner turned around only to find the one responsible for said disaster, calmly walking towards him. You! The owner yelled towards the blonde, pointing at him. Look at this mess! The owner yelled. Don't worry, Naruto said, trying to calm the owner down. My godfather here will gladly pay for everything, Naruto said, and Jiraiya's eyes widened. What? Jiraiya yelled out, grabbing Naruto by the collar of his shirt. Why should I pay? Jiraiya asked rhetorically. You're the one that blew up the hotel, Jiraiya explained. They found me and her nine because you decided to chase some tail, Naruto explained, and Jiraiya scoffed. Besides, I've seen your money book, and this wouldn't even scratch the surface, Naruto said, and Jiraiya got suspicious. How do you know that? Jiraiya asked. Always look underneath the underneath. Besides, my eyes see more than chakra, you know, Naruto said, grinning. So pay the man, and let's find another place so Inoue-chan can rest properly, Naruto said, and Jiraiya reluctantly agreed. He went to his pockets, only to find his wallet was missing, and enhanced Tsunade, who was already negotiating with the hotel owner, making Jiraiya cry anime tears. Life is so unfair, Jiraiya thought, crying in his mind. Suddenly, Naruto felt Hinata stir and looked down at her. It appeared all that noise around them woke up his sleeping beauty. She entirely opened her eyes to find herself in the arms of Naruto. Hey there, sleepyhead, Naruto said, watching Hinata open her eyes and look at him. How are you feeling? Naruto asked. I'm good, Hinata said, and looked at her surroundings. I think I can walk, Hinata said, and Naruto shook his head, denying it. You just woke up. Besides, I like carrying you, Naruto said, and kissed her forehead, making her snuggle closer to him. Kawaii! Shizune yelled out. That's adorable, Shizune said, falling out over both of them like a fangirl. Jiraiya was scribbling furiously on his notebook, not even noticing Tsunade. If you use my grandson for your research, I'll remove the thing that makes you a man, Tsunade shouted to the heavens, and Jiraiya stiffened and quickly placed his notebook in his pockets. Have mercy, Jiraiya pleaded on his knees. Sorry, I'll add a mercy, Tsunade said, cracking her fingers and figuratively rolling up her sleeves. Scary, Naruto thought, watching his grandmother beat his godfather to a bloody pulp. Jiraiya was screaming and asking her for her to stop, but she didn't even waver. Oh lord, the pain, Jiraiya thought. Naruto decided it was time to save his godfather from Tsunade's wrath. How about you go for dinner? Naruto asked, and Jiraiya sighed in relief when the onslaught stopped. Sounds good, Tsunade replied, and kicked Jiraiya one last time where his sun doesn't shine, making him wince in pain and gently nursed his manly parts. All the time, he was cursing the blondes around him. Restaurant. The group found a small restaurant that had a few tables open since the others were all full due to the massive amount of tourists around town. They were all seated in a small table with Shizune, Tsunade, and Jiraiya on one side, and Naruto and Hinata on the other. The menu was a few sardines with rice, while Tsunade and Jiraiya were drinking sake. So, brat, how's the life? Tsunade asked while sipping a bit of sake. She wanted to know about her grandson's life since she wasn't really there for him in the beginning of his life. It was rough in my early years, but I'm good now, Naruto said, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow. Rough? Tsunade wondered what he meant exactly. Actually, since the tuning exams, they stopped calling me demon and trying to kill me, Naruto blurted out, only for Tsunade's face to twist into one of anger. She forgot that Naruto was Jinchuriki, and she knew very well how most of them were treated in their village. Did they hurt you? Tsunade asked with so much fire in her eyes that the table slightly cracked from the pressure of her fists. Don't worry, they're over it now, Naruto said, calming her down. I showed them I had the Sharingan and that I belonged to Senju clan, and now they almost worship me, Naruto said, shaking his head. How could they be so superficial? Naruto was a demon one day, and the next day he was the Prince of Konoha. But I hold no grudge against them, Naruto said. You do realize that once you make Chunin, you will be able to take the clan seat and will be forced into CRA, right? Tsunade asked. The CRA was the thing that drove her out of the village in the first place, and when Kushina died, she had nothing to go back for. I'm Elite Chunin, by the way, and I have already refused the CRA, Naruto said, chuckling. Elite Chunin? A brat like you? Where's the vest? Tsunade taunted him. I don't like wearing the vest, and didn't you see what I did to those Akatsuki members? They were both Kage-level shinobi, Naruto explained, grinning back. Oh please, that was all the Kyuubi's doing, Tsunade said, waving him off.
I like her,
Kurama said from Naruto's mind. You like anyone that praises you, Naruto replied with his sweat dropping. Fine, be that way, Naruto said, pounding. Everyone laughed. How did you refuse the CRA, Tsunade asked. It's mandatory by law, Tsunade explained. Simple. I threatened to leave the village if they forced me into it, Naruto said, grinning, and Tsunade chuckled. By the way, Jiraiya, why are you here? Tsunade asked, and Jiraiya sighed, as this might be a difficult conversation. Sensei has asked us to find you and tell you that you've been chosen for the Godaime Hokage, Jiraiya asked, and Tsunade sighed. The moment Jiraiya said Sensei wanted her to become Hokage, she remembered what happened with Orochimaru. She agreed to meet with them in 1 week, and if she cured his arms, he would destroy Konoha. I'm going back to the village, but it isn't to be Hokage, Tsunade replied, and Jiraiya raised an eyebrow in confusion. Sensei sent me a letter saying Naruto was dead the night the Kyuubi attacked, Tsunade explained. What? Naruto asked. That doesn't make any sense. He was the one that told me of you in the first place, Naruto explained. Something is off here, Jiraiya said. What did the letter look like, Jiraiya asked. Normal Kage letter with his signature and stamps, Tsunade explained. The letter was long gone, and she destroyed it the moment she read it. There isn't anyone else for a Hokage position, Jiraiya reasoned. How about you, Tsunade asked. My spy network is too important for the village, and besides, I'm not the type of man to be behind a desk for 8 hours a day, Jiraiya replied. I'm not becoming Hokage. It's a fool's job, Tsunade said, and Naruto subconsciously activated Sharingan and started glaring at Tsunade. How dare you say that, Naruto asked. Hashirama Jiji, Tobirama Jiji, my father, all of our family took the Hokage position and died defending the village they loved, Naruto explained. Exactly. They all died for nothing, Tsunade said. They died protecting the village they loved, and we should continue their legacy and protect the village they create, Naruto said. But Tsunade seemed reluctant to agree until a devious thought crossed Naruto's mind. How about a bet? Naruto asked, and Jiraiya smirked. What kind of bet? Tsunade asked, focused on Naruto. You and me outside. If I kick your ass, you return to the village and become Hokage, Naruto said, and Tsunade pondered. He's just a brat, Tsunade thought. I agree, but if you lose, I'll get all of your money, and you cannot use the Kyuubi for this match, Tsunade said. I agree, Naruto replied. Let's take it outside then, Tsunade said, and they all walked outside to the middle of the street. This was all going so well, Hinata said, sighing, and both Jiraiya and Shizune agreed. Outside. On the outside, Naruto and Tsunade were facing each other, while Jiraiya, Shizune, and Hinata were at the side watching. Last time to back out, Tsunade said, giving him a chance. I never give up, and I never surrender because to be Hokage is my dream, Naruto said with unbreakable fire in his eyes. Sharingan eyes for that matter. Tsunade smirked, and she swore she saw a visage of Nawaki behind Naruto. Do as you wish. If you win, I'll also throw in this necklace as well, Tsunade said, and Shizune's jaw dropped as well as Jiraiya's. Hashirama's necklace, huh? Naruto mused. Let's go then, Naruto said as he took his stance. Tsunade, I should warn you, Jiraiya was saying, but was cut off. Please, Jiraiya, I can take care of a brat, Tsunade said, smirking. Even if he isn't Elite Chunin, I still got him, Tsunade said. Even though she didn't say it, she wanted Naruto to win, but she wasn't going to make things easy. It's ironic, Hinata said, and got confused faces from everyone. The sense of Hashirama and Madara are facing each other again, Hinata said, and they all chuckled. Very true, Jiraiya replied, and all of them focused on the fight. Tsunade didn't have any stand. She was just standing there with her arms on her waist. Naruto was eyeing her carefully with his Sharingan blazing. Deciding to try and scare her off a little, he made his Sharingan start spinning very slowly. Tsunade watched his spinning very carefully, constantly checking for chakra anomalies in her chakra network to look out for genjutsu. Naruto started spinning off his Sharingan until it started mutating slightly. Eventually, the Sharingan started to slow down and the normal pattern was long gone and replaced by deep black eyes with a broken red circle with 3 circles in them. A Mangekyo? Tsunade wondered and thought as she watched Naruto's eyes very carefully. She dropped the carefree attitude and took a basic stance. She may have never faced an Uchiha with a Mangekyo, but her father warned her about the powers of those eyes had and that they weren't to be taken lightly. Tsukuyomi, Naruto said, and Tsunade's eyes widened just before her world disappeared and was replaced by Naruto's Tsukuyomi world. What is this? Tsunade asked as she walked around Naruto's world. Welcome to my strongest genjutsu, Naruto said, popping out of nowhere and standing in front of Tsunade. In here, I'm God, and I control everything, even time itself. 3 days here are but 3 seconds in the real world, Naruto explained, and Tsunade realized just what type of mess she was in right now. This is the second time I tried this jutsu, and my control still sucks, but it should be enough to hold you, Naruto said, and Tsunade got pinned to a cross, and Naruto stood there in front of her with a sword. What are you going to do? Tsunade asked. She didn't want to believe Naruto would torture her. I'm going to make you laugh to death. And Naruto said, chuckling evilly, and the sword was replaced with a feather. Naruto started using his feather on Tsunade's sensitive spots. Tsunade bit her lips and tried to hold it in, but she couldn't. Tsunade burst out laughing and crying as she couldn't hold the tears. Tsunade broke out laughing and crying. She could barely breathe. She wanted to bend over since her stomach hurt, but she couldn't as she was pinned to the stake. Naruto laughed evilly at the sight of Tsunade. Real world, 3 seconds later. On the outside, all the viewers were oblivious to what was happening. They all heard Naruto call out his genjutsu, but they didn't know if Tsunade was caught as they were just staring at each other. Suddenly, Tsunade fell to her knees, breathing heavily with her eyes puffy red, and one could see dry tears on her face. Damn brats, Tsunade said, back in the real world as she crouched to regain her breathing. Naruto just grinned back at her. It was a miracle that Tsunade didn't pass out. What did he do? Dry asked, curious. He made me laugh for 72 hours straight, Tsunade said, and everyone's sweat dropped. That was a peculiar use for genjutsu. I'll get you for that, Tsunade said before she started dashing towards Naruto with her fist cocked. She's using chakra in her fist, Naruto thought as he watched her approaching with his EMS activated. He brought his fan back from his back and placed it in front of him. He grabbed the hilt with one hand and the other end with the other hand. That's not going to help, Tsunade said, and slammed her fist hard into the fan. The moment her fist collided with the fan, it was like a large bell echoing through the streets. The entire ground shook, but Naruto held his ground. His fan didn't crack or waver. Tsunade was flabbergasted that the fan was still in one piece. She didn't even put a dent in that fan. It was true that she wasn't using her strength to the max, but that punch was enough to bring down a wall, and yet the fan was still in one piece. Naruto flexed his fan and unleashed a current of air, making Tsunade jump back and gain some distance. Naruto placed his left hand in the Tiger Seal, preparing to unleash a fire jutsu when he was interrupted by Jiraiya. Stop, Naruto! Jiraiya yelled, and both turned to him. Don't use ninjutsu in the middle of the street, baka, Jiraiya explained, and Naruto nodded. Naruto took out a free-pronged kunai and threw it at Tsunade, who watched it approach very carefully. The moment the kunai was about to pass next to her head, Tsunade caught it by the handle and started spinning it around her fingers. That wasn't a smart move, Naruto said, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow. And why not? Tsunade asked. Did you notice that kunai isn't ordinary? Naruto asked with a grin and made Tsunade stop spinning the kunai and looked at it very carefully. And she noticed that it was a free-pronged kunai with kanji on the handle. He couldn't have, Tsunade thought just before she saw a bright yellow flash. She was about to turn around when she felt Naruto kicking her ass, making her jump in the air and nurse her rear. The hell are you doing? Tsunade asked, nursing her butt. I win, Bachan, Naruto said, grinning with his foxy smirk. Care to explain how that is? Tsunade asked. I said I would win if I kicked your ass, and I did just that, Naruto said, grinning, and started laughing at the face of everyone when the realization hit them all. You tricked me, Tsunade said, shaking her head. She couldn't win a damn bet to save her life. Hinata just shook her head. She knew Naruto was very devious and sneaky, probably having a fox inside of him increased his kindness as well. She should have seen that coming. I did no such thing, Naruto innocently replied. You agreed to the bet, so will you come back with us to the village and become our Hokage? Naruto asked. Tsunade signed defeat and surprisingly relief. She walked calmly to Naruto and kneeled in front of him. She undid her necklace and wrapped around Naruto's neck and kissed his forehead. "Become a great Hokage like your Bachan," Tsunade said, placed her hand above his necklace and his heart. Naruto just smiled and hugged her. "I'm glad it all worked out for the best," Jiraiya said, and turned to Tsunade. "Do I get a kiss, too, or perhaps a hug?" Jiraiya asked, wiggling his eyebrows, and proceeded to be buried by Tsunade in her fists. Next day, after last night's battle, everyone got together and went to a hotel to spend the night. It was a pain in the ass for Tsunade to allow Naruto and Nana to sleep together, but in the end she caved, but warned them that they were too young for kids. They were all together eating breakfast silently when Tsunade remembered something. "Naruto-chan, why were you fighting those two yesterday anyways?" Tsunade asked, and Naruto sighed before starting his explanation. "Don't call me that. It sounds girly," Naruto whined, and Tsunade smirked. "I like Naruto-chan. It sounds better than Whiskers-kun," Hinata said, giggling, making Naruto glare at her. Naruto sighed before starting. "According to Arasani, there is an organization called the Akatsuki made up of S-rank criminals, and they are after the Bijus," Naruto explained, and Tsunade's eyes widened. It wasn't very common to see Kage-level shinobi working together. They are rumored to have 10 members. Orochimaru used to belong to them until he betrayed them. For now, I only know of Uchiha Itachi, Hoshigaki Kisame, Sasuke the Red Sand, and Deidara the Mad Bomber. They are all S-rank, Jiraiya explained. "By the way, Hinata-chan," Naruto said, turning to her. "How'd they catch you?" Naruto asked. Flashback. Naruto and Nana had just parted ways with Jiraiya since he went towards the women that blinked his way. They were both going towards the hotel when Nana felt a chakra presence nearby. She activated her Byakugan and scanned the nearby roofs, trying to pinpoint the signature. It turned out to be a big mistake. Since Nana activated Byakugan, her vision became almost 360 degrees, which meant she couldn't help but to not see a pair of blood-red Sharingan eyes. It was just a small glimpse before Hinata broke the Genjutsu it was placed on her, but it was good enough to distract her and allow a Shadow Clone to perform a substitution with her. Hinata was now facing two people which had long black cloaks with red clouds on them, and they were both wearing straw hats. The moment she was replaced and stood facing both of them, Kisame dashed towards her and tried to kick her in the chest to end this quickly. Hinata turned to the right, sidestepping the kick, and charging her hands with chakra, she tried a Juken strike to his right shoulder. The attack connected, but Kisame remained impassive. Hinata analyzed him with her Byakugan and noticed that her strike wasn't laced with chakra, when she obviously charged it with chakra. Hinata noticed that the sword had an active chakra network as if it was alive. Did the sword absorb the chakra Hinata thought? "What do you want?" Hinata asked as she took the basic taijutsu stance. "Let me play it for Itachi-san," Kisame said. Itachi said nothing and took a few steps away from both of them. Itachi focused his attention on the faraway hotel. "What do you want with me?" Hinata asked again. "Nothing. What we want is to keep Brat," Kisame said, grinning, and Hinata knew that these two belonged to the Akatsuki and were most likely Kage-level shinobi. She knew she wouldn't stand much of a chance, but she wouldn't go down without a fight. Hinata flared her Byakugan and Kisame laughed and picked up his sword still wrapped in bandages. Hinata made a few hand seals and disabled her gravity seals and stood ready to face them. Kisame started grinning like a madman and tried a sword slash on Hinata to knock her away. She ducked under the swing. Kisame used the momentum of his sword, tilted his body, and tried to kick her again. Hinata sidestepped the kick and jumped in the air. Hinata placed her hands on his legs, supporting herself, and kicked Kisame in the face, knocking him back. Kisame got up pissed, and he ran forward where Hinata was waiting in her defensive stance. He quickly arrived, and they exchanged a flurry of blows, but Hinata was far too slippery and fast for the slow and wide movements of Kisame, and his sword wasn't helping. Kisame was becoming more and more pissed. He placed his sword on his back and decided to engage the girl purely in taijutsu. It was a big mistake, and Itachi just shook his head. Itachi could clearly see that Hinata had the advantage in taijutsu. She may seem small and weak, but that was compensated by her agility and speed. "Stay still!" Kisame yelled as he couldn't even scratch her. If it was ninjutsu, she would have already been dead, but they couldn't use it because it may alert Jiraiya or Naruto. Hinata was supposed to be used as leverage. Hinata ducked under a punch and gave a Juken strike on his right leg, making him kneel. Kisame tried a right hook, and Hinata caught it with her left hand, and gave him a Juken strike right to his heart, destroying his heart. "Bitch!" Kisame said, and shakily placed his hands on the sword to get healed. Hinata heard the comment and kicked him where the sun doesn't shine, making Kisame's eyes pop out of his sockets, and even Itachi cringed and shivered when he saw that. Hinata felt a presence behind her and turned just to see Itachi give a kick to her shoulder. She got hit, and the force of the kick made her turn towards Kisame, who had his sword ready and slammed it against Hinata, making her fly onto the ground. She crashed and was instantly knocked out. "She was a slippery bitch," Kisame said, huffing at her. "I'm tired of telling you not to underestimate your enemies, but you decided to engage in taijutsu against a Hyuga," Itachi said, sighing. "You do realize that if you didn't have that sword, you would have died, right?" Itachi asked, and Kisame scoffed. "Psst, look at her. She's all small and skinny. It looks like she might break at any time," Kisame said, pointing at her. "Deception is a ninja's greatest weapon. She may look frail, but her skill is at least elite Jonin level, bordering Kage level," Itachi said, and he remembered the battle of his Sharingan. "Give it a couple of years, and she will become a force to reckon with in taijutsu," Itachi explained. "Fine, I get it. Let's just get the brat. He can't be much more difficult than her," Kisame said, and he went towards Hinata, and then picked her up, and then headed towards Naruto. End of flashback. "Damn those two," Naruto said, clenching his fists. "Next time, they will die," Naruto said. "It was my fault, Naruto-kun. I got caught in the first place, and then ignored Itachi, thinking he wouldn't interfere," Hinata explained, sighing. "Tsunade-sama," Hinata called out, and she focused on her. "Could you train me in the medical arts?" "I always wanted to become a combat medic," Hinata asked. She always had an interest in poisons, antidotes, and medicine. "I'm surprised to see a Hyuga ask," Tsunade replied, surprised. "I've tried many times in the past to have Hyugas as medics due to the Byakugan, but the Hyuga clan couldn't lower itself to practice medicine," Tsunade said, scoffing. "Are you sure Hiyashi will allow it?" Tsunade asked, and Hinata shifted uncomfortably. "I don't belong to Hyuga clan anymore," Hinata replied. "What do you mean?" Tsunade asked, confused, thinking she didn't hear her right. "My father deemed me too weak to be the heiress of the clan, so he branded me with the caged bird seal, and disowned me from the clan when I was 8 years old. I've been living with Naruto-kun ever since. That is why we're so comfortable sleeping together," Hinata explained, and Tsunade got pissed. "That was the only village her father had created. They treat Jinchurikis like garbage and left their own children to fend for themselves. She never liked the Hyugas, but this had just hit a new low." "You don't have the seal," Tsunade said, as she looked at her forehead. "Naruto-kun managed to remove it," Hinata replied, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow. "So the brat was a seal master. He was just full of surprises." "I will train you, Hinata," Tsunade said, and Hinata nodded, thanking her. "I need to talk to you about something," Tsunade said, and they all stopped eating and focused on her. "I'm supposed to meet with Orochimaru in 6 days," Tsunade said, and sounds rain at the table. "I suppose he wants you to heal him for what I've done to him," Naruto said. It was the only logical outcome as to why Orochimaru would search for Tsunade now of all times. "That's right. I agreed to meet with him in 6 days so we can end him there once and for all," Tsunade said, and Naruto got curious. "Why did you agree to meet with him at a later date?" Naruto asked, and Tsunade looked carefully at Tsunade. "He said that he would bring back Dan, Naoki, and Kushina if I healed him," Tsunade said, and no one said anything. "He had already brought back my mother when we fought against him during the invasion," Naruto said. I... Naruto started but stopped to think if it would be a good idea. "I can allow you to see them one last time," Naruto said, and Tsunade froze. "Naruto, you can't mean," Jiraiya started, but Naruto interrupted. "I can use Edo Tensei without sacrifices, but the souls are only here temporarily. Once the time is up, they go back to the pure world," Naruto explained, and turned to Tsunade. Tsunade bit her lip deep in thought. She wanted nothing more than to have them back, but to see them leave again. "I want to see them again. One last time," Tsunade said, and Naruto nodded. "Let's finish breakfast and go outside and do it then," Naruto said, and everyone agreed. Outside a restaurant on an empty field. Everyone left the restaurant and headed for an empty field where they could see the ritual without being disturbed. Everyone took a few steps back and allowed Naruto to do his job. Naruto was lucky that Tsunade had a few strands of hair from all of them. She got them as a reminder of them. Naruto took out a scroll and placed it on the ground. He channeled chakra into it, and the kanji started spreading through the field, leaving 3 empty circles around the kanji. "Shadow clone jutsu," Naruto said, and made 3 clones that went and sat on each of the circles. "Shadow clones?" Jiraiya asked. "The Edo Tensei needs a vessel to anchor the souls to our realm. As long as the clone has chakra to sustain itself, I can use them as vessels," Naruto explained, and Jiraiya nodded. It made sense. Tiger, snake, dog, dragon. Naruto went through the hand seals and then clapped his hands together. "Kuchios, Edo Tensei, summoning technique, impure world resurrection," Naruto said, and the clones started to become covered by leaves until they took the form of someone else. The first person was a man. He had long, pale blue hair that reached his back and dark green eyes. He wore the standard Konoha shinobi outfit of that time, complete with a forehead protector and the pocketless flak jacket. He was Kato Dan, Tsunade's lover, and Naruto's maternal grandfather. The second person was also a young man. He had short, light brown hair, green-gray eyes, and distinct blushes on his cheeks. For attire, he wore a dark teal poncho top and light green pants. He was Senju Naoki, Tsunade's younger brother. The third one was a woman. She had waist-length, fiery red hair and blue eyes. She was wearing dark Anbu pants and a black Anbu chest plate. She was Senju Kushina, Tsunade's daughter and Naruto's mother. "Where am I?" Naoki asked. The last thing he remembered was running through an empty field and then a loud explosion followed by darkness. "Kushina? Naoki? Dan?" Tsunade said, looking at the three people that Naruto summoned back from the dead. "You haven't changed a bit, Tsunade-chan," Dan said as he looked around. "Kushi-chan, is that you?" Dan asked the beautiful red-haired girl next to him. "Yes, Ta-san. It's good to see you again," Kushina said, and looked around to find Naruto, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and some girl she didn't know. "So... hello," Naruto said, scratching the back of his head, and everyone focused on him. "I've temporarily brought you back so Tsunade could say goodbye properly. You will be able to be here for around a day," Naruto explained, and everyone nodded. "Naruto-kun?" Kushina asked. "Yes, Kasan," Naruto replied. "Kasan?" Dan asked, eyeing the blonde carefully. "Then that would make me your grandfather." "It's nice to meet you," Dan said. "You too, grandfather," Naruto replied, and looked to his left to see Naoki talking to Tsunade, who was hugging him and crying. "This is Hyuga Hinata, my girlfriend," Naruto said, introducing Hinata to his mother. "Girlfriend, huh?" Kushina asked in a teasing tone, making them both blush deep red. "How did that happen?" Kushina asked, wanting all the juicy details. Kushina asked, and Naruto went and told her about everything that had happened. How when they first met, Naruto saved Hinata from a couple of bullies. A year later, he saved her from being kidnapped by Kumonin, and when Hinata got kicked out, they confessed to each other. "Oh, that's so cute," Kushina said with stars in her eyes. "Did you know that your father and I fell for each other the same way?" Kushina said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow in confusion. "Back when I was around 10 years old, Kumo tried to kidnap me because of my special chakra that allows me to create chains. When I was kidnapped, we had already reached the border, and I was losing hope until your father appeared and saved me," Kushina said, and Naruto laughed at the coincidences. "I guess we are meant to be," Naruto said and kissed Hinata's cheek, making her snuggle into his arms, and Kushina merely nodded. She could already tell that Hinata was a very sweet girl that loved Naruto very much. "How is the furball treating you?" Kushina said, and then she heard Naruto's stomach growl. "I guess he doesn't like being called a furball," Naruto replied, chuckling.
What if I called you Fleshbag? Would you like it?
Kurama asked. "I guess not, but you've already called me that a couple of times," Naruto replied, and Kurama stayed silent. "Naruto-kun, are you alright?" Kushina asked as Naruto suddenly spaced out. "He does that sometimes when he talks to the QB," Hinata explained, and Kushina smacked her head for not thinking of that. Naruto got back to the realm of the living and noticed both of them looking intently at him. "What?" Naruto asked, and they're both staring at him. "Nothing. It's just your face went through a couple of emotions, and you almost look like a clown," Kushina said, and Naruto's sweat dropped. "You know," Kushina started gathering his attention. "It's a shame that you can't meet me and Tokun," Kushina said sadly. "I already did," Naruto replied, making Kushina perk up in confusion. "When I was 5 years old, I awakened my Sharingan and appeared in my mindscape. He explained to me everything that happened the night that I was born. He told me about his father and unlocked the Kyuubi's cage," Naruto explained, and Kushina nodded until Naruto's stomach grumbled. "I guess I'm hungry," Naruto said, chuckling. "One of the things Naruto most liked is eating." "It's almost noon," Naruto innocently said, and Kushina chuckled at his son's antics. "Alright, gather up," Naruto yelled, and everyone got together. "It's noon. How about we go for lunch?" Naruto asked, and everyone nodded. "Wait," Jiraiya said, and everyone stopped. "Do Edo Tenseis even feel hunger?" Jiraiya asked, and Naruto shrugged and turned to them. "I could eat, but maybe it's just a vessel that's hungry," Kushina explained, but they all shrugged, as it wasn't a big deal. "So, what should we go for?" Tsunade asked. "Ramen!" Tsunade and Kushina instantly replied, and everyone chuckled. It looked like Naruto got his ramen addiction from his mother. "I am not paying," Jiraiya quickly said, stealing his wallet away. Later that day, they all spent the day like a family should, having fun and enjoying their company. Their lunch was an epic standoff in a ramening contest between Naruto and Kushina. Unfortunate for Naruto, Kushina was an Edo Tensei, and as such, she couldn't get full, and Naruto caved at 15 bowls, passing out. Dan and Naoki got to meet their grandson and grandnephew, respectively. They all learned a lot about how the world had changed. Dan pretty much told Naruto stories about Hashirama and Tobirama since he was alive when they existed. So, this is it, huh? Tsunade said. Naruto felt that his shadow clones were running in fumes, and it would be a couple minutes before he dispelled any ninjutsu. Don't cry, Tsunade-chan. It doesn't suit a strong woman like you, Don replied with a small smile. I got to meet my grandson, and I got to see our daughter again, Don said, and Tsunade slowly nodded. It hurt to see them leave again. It was good to see you again, Tsunade said, and turned to Naoki. At least I got to give you a proper goodbye, Tsunade said. Don't worry, Nisa, Naoki said, grinning. Even though I don't like to have been killed, at least we won. But one day, it will be like Tosan wanted. An era of peace without wars and conflict. When mankind will be able to understand each other, Naoki said. For someone so young, he shared strong beliefs. This is it, Naruto. I'm sorry for the burden we placed on you, Kushina said. Even though she got to know Nikki Fox very well and knew he would help Naruto, she knew that the village wouldn't honor me until his wish. Don't worry, I'm happy you entrusted to me, Naruto said, hugging his mother for the last time. And don't forget about the promise I made, Naruto said, and Kushina grinned. I'll be waiting. In the meantime, wait a couple of years before you give me grandsons, Kushina said, smirking, and both Naruto and Nana blushed, and then looked away from each other. Goodbye, Naruto-kun, Kushina said before the clone dispelled and Kushina's body disintegrated until it remained nothing but leaves on the ground. Live the rest of your life to the fullest, Dallin said as he also disappeared. Bye, Nisa, Naoki said and vanished as well. No one said anything for a couple of minutes as they were all walking home. Tsunade was happy she got to see them all for one last time, and Naruto was happy he got to talk and get to know his mother a bit more. Let's get ready, Tsunade said, and everyone got confused looks. I need a new snakeskin wallet, Tsunade said, smirking. Akatsuki-based Outpost 4. Both Akatsuki members didn't expect to find such resistance from Jinchuriki, especially when he was only 14 years old. Kisame managed to drag Itachi's unconscious body towards one of the many Akatsuki outposts located around the Land of Fire. Kisame used his reign to call the leader of the organization. Not even 5 minutes had passed and a holographic figure appeared in the middle of the room. We couldn't see much from the figure besides it had short spiky hair, but the thing that stood out were his eyes. His eyes were dark silver with the concentric circles around the pupil. Report, the figure said before looking carefully at both members stopping at Itachi. What happened to him, the figure said as he took notice to the state of Itachi. To put it simply, he looked like someone who was put through a blender. The QB brat happened to him, Kisame replied, and the figure looked at him in disbelief. You mean to tell me a 14-year-old knocked out Itachi, the figure said. We were severely outgunned. Our spy still said he was the loudmouth dead last, but it was far from the truth, Kisame said. Explain, the figure said. For starters, the QB brat has not only the Sharingan, but also the next level, the Mangekyo Sharingan, Kisame said. What? The figure asked. Something was missing. Itachi, Sasuke, and Madara were supposed to be the last Uchihas. It's true. He says he's Uchiha Madara's grandson. He broke Itachi Tsukiyomi like nothing, and the Amaterasu flames did nothing against him, Kisame explained. Madara's grandson? Why didn't he tell me, the figure thought? Something wasn't right here. I see. What else can you tell me, the figure asked. He has some strange power that allows physical attacks to go through him as if he was a ghost, Kisame explained. Then the figure raised an eyebrow. Intangibility? Like Madara's power, the figure thought? The Q-Brat was becoming more trouble than he first thought. Anything else, the figure asked? Oh yeah, he can use the Kyuubi's power without losing control. He went to 4 tails, and that was sufficient enough to force Itachi to use the Susanoo, Kisame said. That is a problem, the figure replied. But no matter, your job was only recon, and you did a good job, the figure said, and was about to leave when Itachi was the one who interrupted him. Are we to leave him alone for 3 years, Itachi asked. We don't know what level he might achieve with 3 more years, seeing the level he is at right now, Itachi said. Naruto was already very powerful, and leaving him alone for 3 years to master Mangekyo might not be the best move. If it comes down to that, I'll take him down myself, the figure said, and was about to leave until he said one last thing. After all, no one can stand against a god. And that is the end of chapter 27. We will now move on to chapter 28, and of a snake, so let's begin. Chapter 28, End of a Snake. Iwagakure, Stone Village. Iwagakure no Sato, or the Hidden Stone Village, is one of the Great Five Shinobi Nations. Their leader is called Tsuchikage, or Earth Shadow, and their current one is Onoki. Onoki is a very short old man with a triangular beard and a mustache that has angular corners, a big red nose, and thick eyebrows. The top of his head is completely bald, although he has long, white hair on the lower half of his head, which is styled in a traditional chonmage haircut, the back of which is tied with a yellow ribbon into a top knot. He wears a green and yellow coat with a red collar. Underneath, he wears the traditional Iwagakure outfit, consisting of a light green version of Iwagakure's flak jacket and mesh armor. He has both sleeves of his shirt, but he kept a single lapel on his right side. Along with this, he wears sandals. The Stone Village is well known for the rock-hard attitude and extreme loyalty of their shinobi. Once their leader issues an order, they will follow it blindly, even if it costs them their lives. The standard attire for shinobi from this village consists of a red outfit, which can have sleeves, a lapel, which is usually found on the side of the sleeve, and a brown flak jacket. They also tend to wear mesh armor around their ankles. Iwagakure ninjas seem to specialize in earth release techniques. Speaking of the village itself, it's located in the midst of some rocky mountains. These mountains provide natural defenses, making the village a stronghold. Unlike Konoha, the houses are built completely out of stone instead of wood, making them more durable and resistant in case of attack. Currently, we find Tsuchikage in his office navigating the maze of paperwork that seems to plague every Kage. His office is located in the biggest structure in the village, which all of them are cone-shaped. "Curse this damn paperwork," the Tsuchikage said, cursing this paperwork with all his might. He was half tempted to vaporize everything around him, which wouldn't be too hard. Why it wouldn't be too hard is very simple. The Tsuchikage is the last known wielder of the Dust Release. Although technically it is in Kekkei Genkai, one must have affinity for earth, fire, and wind, which isn't very common for shinobi to have natural affinities for more than two elements. Onoki is a very headstrong, proud, and boastful individual. Due to his age, he is also somewhat frail, with constant complaints about hip and back pains. Although he's old, similar to Hokage in fact, he refuses to step down from the Kage position until he finds a worthy heir to his position. The Tsuchikage picked up a paper and it was a simple report of a simple D-rank mission. He quickly scanned through it and stamped it, placing it on the other end of the table. This was his routine when not sleeping. He would spend his days reading and stamping reports. He was broken from his work by a knock on the door. "Come in," Onoki said. The door opened and a man entered. He was wearing the standard Iwa attire with the exception that the red shirt went all the way up to his chin. He had black eyes with brown hair stylized with a small ponytail. "Good morning, Tsuchikage-sama," the man said, greeting his leader and kneeling in front of him. "Masato, need something?" Onoki asked. Masato was in fact the village's spy master. The spy master's job, like the name states, is to keep tabs on the other villages and other information that might seem relevant to his village's safety and welfare. "Yes, Tsuchikage-sama," Masato replies, standing up. "We received a letter from the Saiyan addressed directly to you, and they came from in their fastest carrier. And also, we heard of something interesting in Konoha," Masato explained, handing the letter over to Tsuchikage. The letter had already been scanned to make sure it wasn't an explosive tag or any other trap. "Tsuchikage, don't know. We are sending this message in our fastest carrier as the situation is very strenuous to us, and we would like a reply as fast as possible. 5 days ago, our village allied itself with the Sound Village and launched an invasion against Konoha. The invasion didn't go as planned, and we, along with the Sound, were defeated. It appears that Konoha had somehow found out about the invasion prior to it and was able to prepare. We have severely underestimated their power, and we placed faith on someone of questionable integrity, a mistake on our part. According to our reports, Konoha's Jinchuriki was responsible for defeating the fully released Shikaku, but also killed our Kage along with 200 of our own. A more detailed report is attached to the letter. We took a crippling blow to our forces, and as such we would propose an alliance with your village, as it holds no love for Konoha. This would be a complete alliance, meaning more commercial routes and agreements, and of course military help if needed. We have also dispatched a letter to the Earth Daimyo, explaining the situation as to when Daimyo has agreed with an alliance, should you accept. Yours faithfully, Suna Council. The Tsuchikage read the letter a couple of times so he wouldn't miss anything. So they let themselves be guided by Orochimaru. Fools, Inoki thought. Placing your trust on a Nukenin is hardly ever a good idea, and Orochimaru didn't exactly have the best reputation. Judging from the letter, they must fear a possible invasion if they are requesting an alliance with us, of all people, Inoki mused and thought. Iwa, much like Kumo, were independent, and they didn't particularly like alliances. Interesting, Inoki thought out loud. Sir, Masato said. The Sand wants an alliance with us, Inoki said, but Masato didn't seem particularly surprised. You don't seem surprised, Inoki stated. I've heard some very interesting news from our spies in Konoha, but I was going to inform you after you had read the letter, Masato stated. Do you have the reports, Inoki asked, and Masato nodded, handing them the reports of their invasion based on the survivors. Inoki quickly read through the invasion reports, and it was basic stuff on how Suna got their asses handed to them, and they ran with their tails between their legs. He kept on reading until he found a part on Konoha Jinchuriki, someone named Uzumaki Naruto. Apparently the Jinchuriki was nothing more than a brat of 14 years old. And yet this Geni managed to kill a fifth of the Suna's forces with a single jutsu. He had also displayed high levels of ninjutsu and funjutsu. Funjutsu? It seems that Konoha still bets on that, Inoki thought as he continued on reading the letter until he found a picture of said Jinchuriki. His eyes widened and his blood ran cold when he saw what the Jinchuriki looked like. He still couldn't forget those cold blue eyes and his spiky golden hair. He felt as if he was staring at the Namikaze once again. It can't be, Inoki thought. How he despised the Namikaze. Minato was the reason Konoha won the first Shinobi War by slaughtering 1,000 of their Shinobi in just a couple of seconds. And now Inoki was staring at some kid who looked just like him, except he had longer hair and whisker marks on his face, but the similarities were too much to ignore. Masato, Inoki said, gaining his attention. What news have you heard from Konoha? Inoki quickly asked to see if he had anything on his Naruto. Apparently, Konoha has a Senju heir, which is none other than the Jinchuriki Naruto, Masato explained. But the kicker is that this Naruto is the son of Namikaze Minato, the Yellow Flash, Masato stated, confirming Inoki's biggest fears. So the bastard sealed the Kyuubi inside his own son, Inoki said. The Namikaze had reproduced and unleashed another Yellow Flash upon this world. Inoki would have his revenge. He would avenge his son's death by the Yellow Flash by killing his son in return. But there's more, Masato said, and Inoki focused on him. Senju Naruto, the son of Namikaze Minato, is apparently the grandson of Uchiha Madara, which would mean that the Namikaze was Madara's son, Inoki finished in a disbelieving tone, and Masato nodded. Inoki also despised Madara sometimes even more than the Yellow Flash. When he was younger and they had just signed a treaty with Konoha, Madara had the ghoul of stating that Iwa was nothing more than Konoha's slaves. It seemed as Iwa had a very grim past with those of Uchiha blood. After all, Iwa wanted Madara dead, and they got that. And then Namikaze appears as if to finish his father's job of killing Iwa's shinobi. To think that Namikaze would be Madara's son, Inoki said, grating his teeth. However, I do find it strange that no one ever knew of his Sharingan, Inoki mused out loud. The son of the most powerful Uchiha to ever live would without a doubt awaken his Sharingan, but they never knew of it. In fact, they didn't know of the Namikaze's parents until 14 years after his death. It seems Konoha has a Namikaze heir, but they stacked all their cards into one person. He's both the last Senju, as Tsunade is past reproducing age, and the last Namikaze, Inoki thought as he rubbed his beard. Or Uchiha, I should say, Inoki corrected. What are we going to do regarding Suna and the Namikaze bastard, Masato asked. He too, along with all of Iwa, had no love towards Minato, and finding out he was the son of Uchiha Madara didn't exactly help. We can't do any direct actions against the Yellow Flash's brat right now, as it would raise too much attention. Let it cool down a bit before we do anything, Inoki explained. The world had just been informed of a Namikaze heir, and trying to kill him right now would raise too much suspicion towards Iwa, so it could wait. Regarding Suna, I'm tempted to accept their alliance, Inoki said. What are your thoughts, Inoki asked Masato. Unlike Konoha or Suna, Iwa was a full dictatorship with Inoki holding all the power, but even then he would seek out advice on his most trusted shinobi. I think we should accept. We have nothing to lose, and I've heard that Konoha doesn't intend to attack them. So this must be some guarantee against Kumo since Kiri is still in war, Masato explained. I concur with your assessment, Inoki agreed, and quickly wrote a reply to Suna's request. After Suna had chosen their new Kazekage, they would have a formal meeting with both Kages to discuss the full terms of their alliance and iron out any details. Send it to Suna, Inoki said, giving the letter to Masato, who sealed it. What about the Senju? Masato asked. He had nothing against the Senju clan itself, but knowing that he was the son of the Yellow Flash and Madara's grandson sealed his fate. Like I said, let things cool down for now, Inoki explained. In the meantime, put him in the bingo book. I want him captured alive so he can be executed in front of the whole village. To show them what happens when they mess with Iwa, Inoki said, grinning. That would be his last act as Tsuchikage, killing the Namikaze's brat. What rank and bounty shall we give? Masato asked. Based on reports and knowing he's the bastard's son, give him Naruto and company. It was the day after Tsunade and Naruto had talked with their family and currently find him in some empty field training. Since Tsunade had agreed to meet Orochimaru and with him injured, they had the golden opportunity to end him once and for all. This world would be a better place without that snake laying around. Hinata was training with Shizune and Tsunade since she asked for it, so they might as well start it already. So, you want to become a medic nin, right? Tsunade asked, and Hinata nodded. Why? Tsunade asked, as she never got the full story from her. Because I prefer to heal people than hurt them, Hinata replied, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow. Don't get me wrong, I know when it's necessary to hurt or kill someone, but I prefer to make people feel better, Hinata explained. She never liked killing as she was too kind for that, but she knew that sometimes it was for the best. Naru-chan really chose well, Tsunade said, smirking, making Hinata slightly blush. Alright, brat, I'll train you. From now on you call me Tsunade Sensei when I'm training you. Got that? Tsunade asked. Hi, Tsunade Sensei, Hinata replied without a shred of doubt in her voice. For starters, tell me what you know, Tsunade said. I have very good chakra control and knowledge of the human anatomy and even better understanding of poisons and antidotes, but also medicinal herbs. I don't know any healing techniques, so I just use some healing cream I make, Hinata explained, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow. Poisons, antidotes, and medicinal herbs? Tsunade asked, and Hinata nodded. That isn't covered in the academy, so I assume you studied that on the side, Tsunade asked, and Hinata nodded once again. It's a very good start. Now, let's see how good your chakra control is, Tsunade said, and picked up a small brown pouch from somewhere. Here, put your palms up, Tsunade said, and Hinata complied. Tsunade then emptied the pouch onto Hinata's hands. From the pouch came a bunch of multicolored sand. The sand was composed of 4 colors, blue, brown, red, and green. Now, I want you to separate the sand by color and align them in your palm using only chakra, Tsunade explained. If you can do this in less than 5 seconds, that means your chakra control is very good and on par with Shizune and more than enough for a few medical techniques. If you make it, I'll show a few others that are only known by medics to further increase this, Hinata explained, and Hinata got to it. Hinata did a few tries just so she could get a feel for the sand. The timer started and Hinata started channeling chakra to her hands. It had to be a very minuscule amount, otherwise the sand would simply fly out of her hands. She decided to split the sand by color, starting on blue, then going for brown, red, and then green. After the sand was divided by color into equal globs, she slowly started aligning them in a straight line. Once she was done, she cleaned a bit of sweat from her forehead. She never had to concentrate so much in her life for such a simple thing. 6 seconds. That's very, very good, Tsunade said, impressed by Hinata. This kind of control was Kagero for fighting, but for medical applications, it was necessary for so much more than that. Just out of curiosity, what are your affinities, Tsunade asked? I have both wind and water, but also a small line affinity. Due to my usage, the water is my strongest, Tsunade explained. Even better! Water affinity is the best for medical use, Tsunade stated. I'll show you how to use the mystical palm technique that speeds up the body's natural healing process, Tsunade explained, and Hinata nodded, getting right into it. That day went by without much trouble, and by the afternoon, Hinata could maintain the mystical palm technique indefinitely, or at least until she ran out of chakra. Tsunade had warned of the dangers should she send too much chakra with the technique. If Hinata used too much chakra in this technique, instead of healing the victim, it would render them into a comatose state. Now, this time, it was Shizune that decided to teach Hinata on poisons. Tsunade knew everything about poisons, but she was more turned to counter them instead of creating them like Shizune and Hinata liked to. What ways do you have to deliver poison? Shizune asked. The only way I know is to use senbon or other weapons coated with the poison I want, Hinata explained, and Shizune nodded. Then I'll show you this one, Shizune said, and broke away from Hinata, getting clear from her. Dokugiri, poison mist, Shizune said, just before pumping her lungs with chakra and expelling a thick purple mist from her mouth. Just by looking at it, anyone knew that it would be better to get the hell out of Dodge. Just by inhaling a small bit of it would be fatal. To do this, you must convert your chakra into a certain chemical that, once expelled, it mixes with the air, converting it to the poison mist. So in fact, you breathe in a chemical and not the poison itself, making it safer for you to use, Shizune explained, and proceeded to teach Hinata how to transform her chakra into different chemicals to achieve different poisons. Boom! An explosion echoed for the whole field, and Hinata turned to the left to see smoke rising on the horizon. Looks like Naruto's having trouble, Hinata said, giggling to herself. With Naruto. Not too far away from where Hinata, Shizune, and Tsunade were, was Naruto also doing his training. He had already did his morning warm-up routine, so now we find him working on his Rasengan. He is currently trying to create a bigger Rasengan like Jiraiya said. Jiraiya is currently missing, and by missing I mean he is doing his research for his next novel. And by research I mean peeking on a local hot springs or some other place where one could find some unfortunate beauties with low amount of clothing on. Boom! An explosion echoed through the field as the Rasengan he had in his hands destabilized and exploded, dispelling the clones and destroying the ground. Damn it, this is not working, Naruto said, frustrated. He made a cross sign and replaced the shadow clones that were destroyed. He didn't understand what he was missing. He managed to learn Rasengan rather quickly, but this is proving difficult. Naruto started once again a normal Rasengan and stopped when it stabilized. He began pumping more chakra into the small spear. The spear began glowing and was quickly approaching twice the normal chakra. Just a bit more, Naruto said, and a bit of sweat fell from his face. Boom! That's it. Back to the beginning, Naruto said, shaking his head. What can I do? The outer layer isn't strong enough to hold so much chakra, Naruto was thinking as he tried to figure it out. Then he remembered his fight against Shikaku when he used his Bijudama. The layer can't hold so much power. If the chakra density is too big from such a small layer and I must increase the power, the only way is to increase its volume, Naruto thought, and concluded that to maintain its stability he had to reinforce the outer layer by making it bigger and bigger. He began to do just that. Naruto started to gather chakra and stopped at the normal Rasengan. Now, instead of just pumping chakra, he began to harden the chakra and expand the outer layer simultaneously. The results were instantaneous. The ball kept on increasing while maintaining its stability. Naruto was pumping more and more chakra, and the spear was almost reaching 4 times the normal amount, and Naruto decided to stop there and see if he could hold it there. Looks like he made some progress, Jiraiya said as he entered the field. His cheeks were slightly colored, meaning that he was drinking at some point. I finally got it, Arasani, Naruto replied, and Jiraiya cited the nickname. His mother used to call him the exact same thing when she was still alive. How much chakra did you put in there? Jiraiya asked to see if his Rasengan met the standards. 4 times as much, Naruto replied, and Jiraiya nodded. 4 times the normal Rasengan was just fine. It should be just fine. Use the shadow clone to clash with mine, Jiraiya said, and Naruto dispelled the remaining clones, forming only one. The clone made an Aldama Rasengan and dashed towards the winged Jiraiya. The glowing blue orbs connected with each other, and the ground started shaking from the energy being released. Neither spear wanted to be overrun, but slowly Naruto's Rasengan started to waver, and the whole ground exploded. When the smoke cleared, Jiraiya's clone was still saying, although he was smoking. Your big Rasengan is good. You just need to use it a couple of times to get a feel for it, Jiraiya explained, and Naruto nodded, going back to his training. Why don't you take a break? You've been at it for hours. Aren't you tired, Jiraiya asked. It was almost nightfall, meaning Naruto had been training his Rasengan for a couple of hours now. Don't you know me, Naruto replied, grinning towards him, and Jiraiya just shook his head. It's getting dark. How about we go for some dinner? Jiraiya asked, and knew Naruto wouldn't refuse. After all, one of the things Naruto liked most after Nada and training was eating. They all regrouped and headed towards some local restaurant. They were all eating peacefully since they weren't in any hurry, and decided to plan what to do against Orochimaru. Playing against a Kagero shinobi would hardly work, especially against someone as slippery as Orochimaru. What are we going to do against Orochi Baka? Naruto asked, and Jiraiya chuckled. Naruto called him exactly the same thing Jiraiya once did. After all, they were once teammates and almost brothers. Tsunade hummed and fought with her hand on her chin. I can fake heal him and try to kill him with a medical technique, Tsunade explained. Are you sure it will work, Jiraiya asked? If it fails, she might find herself in a compromising position. This technique looks like the mystical palm, so it should fool him as he has no advanced knowledge on medical techniques. It works by infusing a poisonous chakra source into his system. Once inserted, the poison instantaneously spreads through the whole network, destroying it almost instantly, Tsunade explained. He should drop dead in a matter of seconds, Tsunade said, grinning. What if he sees through it? Naruto asked. He will know that you side with Konoha and most likely will try to kill you, Naruto explained. The best we can do if she is discovered is to try and lead them into an open field to battle, Jiraiya explained. Battling a Kage-level shinobi in the middle of a town would most likely destroy everything in it, especially someone of Orochimaru's caliber. There are various types of Kage, and Orochimaru stands in the higher division. Okay, imagine we can lure him out onto an empty field, Naruto said. Then what? Naruto asked. We smoke his ass, Tsunade simply said, and everyone swept up at the simplicity of their plan. Good enough for me, Naruto said, and everyone went back to eating. 6 days later. The sun was shining high in the air, engulfing the whole town in a golden aura. It was around noon, and Orochimaru was calmly walking towards his destination with his most trusted henchman/sidekick by his side, also known as Yakushi Kabuto. They suddenly stopped as they were in the place they agreed to meet Tsunade. Not even a few minutes had passed, and Orochimaru could see Tsunade approaching in the horizon. He smirked at the thought that his offer had been accepted. He never doubted that Tsunade would refuse it. He knew that she would give anything to see them again, even if it was only one more time just to say goodbye. Little did Orochimaru know that Tsunade had already got her wish to see her family once again. Orochimaru was even more satisfied that Tsunade came alone. It further confirmed his suspicion that she accepted by dumping her apprentice. Do you have your answer, Tsunade? Orochimaru asked, smirking, and she simply nodded, faking a sad mood. If I heal your arm, can you really bring them back? Tsunade asked, and Orochimaru just nodded. Where's your necklace? Orochimaru asked, surprised she didn't have it on. Shit, Tsunade thought, but remained calm and with a saddened aura. Why should it matter? Tsunade asked, and Orochimaru shrugged it off. Give me your arm, Tsunade said, and she slowly walked towards Orochimaru. She flexed her hands forward and they started glowing green. To anyone else, it seemed like a normal healing technique. Just before she reached Orochimaru, a kunai was thrown at her, making her jump back. What is the meaning of this, Kabuto? Orochimaru asked, angry. That is an assassination technique very similar to the mystical palm. She was trying to kill you, Orochimaru-sama, Kabuto explained, and Orochimaru growled. How cunning of you, Tsunade. Trying to kill me when I had my guard down. Too bad for you. I have powerful allies by my side. Orochimaru replied, chuckling. It appears you have sided with Konoha, and I now know the fate of your necklace. You most likely gave it to Naruto-kun, Orochimaru said. Like you will leave this town alive, Tsunade said, smirking, and without thought, dashed towards both of them. She jumped in the air and brought her heel down, smashing into the ground and vaporizing it. Time for Plan B, Tsunade thought, and began to chase them off town and drive them onto some empty field. This is it, Orochimaru, Tsunade said, smirking. What can you do? Orochimaru replied, chuckling. You are alone against both of us, and Kabuto isn't to be underestimated. He's at the level of Hatake Kakashi, Orochimaru said, smirking. I am not alone, Tsunade said, taking the kunai from her clothes and sending it to the ground. The moment the kunai connected, there was a bright flash of yellow, and Jiraiya, Hinata, Shizune, and Naruto were seen standing there side by side with Tsunade. How about these eyes? Tsunade smugly pointed out. Tsk, Orochimaru replied. How nice of you to join us, Naruto-kun, Orochimaru said, licking his lips, making Naruto shiver. How's the arm? Naruto innocently asked, and Orochimaru scowled. Long time no see, Orochibaka, Jiraiya said, and Naruto chuckled. Jiraiya, Orochimaru said, watching his once teammate. Let's get this over with, Tsunade said, before elbowing Jiraiya to the side, making him fall to the ground and start dashing towards Orochimaru and Kabuto. Tsunade was running when Orochimaru quickly bit his thumb, drawing blood, and threw at Tsunade. The blood connected with her face, and she hesitated momentarily. Kabuto took the opportunity, and using his chakra scalpels, he sliced through the most important muscles in her legs. He was about to cut her throat when he was almost blinded by a yellow flash. Naruto instantly appeared above Tsunade as he had marked her and everyone else. Naruto used Tsunade's shoulder for support and kicked Kabuto in the shoulder, sending him tumbling to the ground. Naruto kicked Kabuto and continued his momentum. He turned midair and locked eyes with Orochimaru. His normal Sharingan quickly shifted to his Mangekyo. Orochimaru sent his chakra spike and was about to jump away when Naruto said, Amaterasu! Orochimaru's body erupted in black flames and he fell to the ground, shaking, trying to extinguish the powerful flames. Naruto quickly flashed back to Jiraiya with Tsunade on her toes. She was slightly shaken up from seeing the blood, but it appears her talk for loved ones helped her to the point she didn't become catatonic. She dropped to the ground and Shizune along with Hinata started healing her the best they could. Do you think it was enough? Naruto asked. Hardly. I don't think it would go down with just that, Jiraiya said, and Naruto extended his senses. He could easily see something being burned with his Amaterasu flames, and Kabuto was getting up. Jump! Naruto yelled, and everyone split away from their current position as Orochimaru's head bursted from the ground with a sword in his mouth. Naruto looked at the blade and saw it dripping some purple substance, meaning the blade was coated with poison. They jumped away and regrouped just to see the rest of Orochimaru's body coming out of the ground unharmed. Naruto focused his eyes towards his flames, and they were still there, meaning it wasn't some clone. How did you avoid the Amaterasu flames? Naruto asked. He knew for a fact that these flames couldn't be put out, and a simple Kamorimi wouldn't work, as the flames wouldn't leave his body. He shed his skin, Jiraiya explained, as Orochimaru had some sticky residue on his skin. I remember, Naruto said. He did the same thing back in the Force of Death. He vomited himself out of his body. That's the best way to describe it, Naruto said, slightly disgusted by the jutsu. Yeah, he was always a disgusting bastard, Jiraiya stated. Why don't you join us, Naruto-kun? Kabuto asked out of nowhere. Why would I do that? Naruto rhetorically asked. There is nothing you can offer me that would make me leave my home, Naruto said. We can offer you power, Kabuto replied. I have plenty of power, Naruto said, grinning. How about we bring back your mother and father? Orochimaru replied, smirking. You're a fool, Orochi Baka, Naruto replied, and he raised an eyebrow. I know how to do the Edo Tensei, so I could bring my mother back if I wanted to. However, my father's still inside the God of Death's stomach, and we both know the Edo Tensei can't bring his soul back, Naruto explained, and he stared at him. There's nothing you can offer me, Naruto said before picking up his fan from his back. Katon, so Koko, cranium carver, Naruto said, and sent a small fireball towards Orochimaru. However, this ball was going way too fast. Orochimaru and Kabuto jumped away, but the ball collided with the ground and exploded in flames, scorching both of them. Just as Orochimaru was about to touch the ground, Tsunade appeared behind him. Hi there, Tsunade said with a very sweet smile before cocking her fist and slamming it against Orochimaru's chest. He was sent flying into the ground, and when he crashed, it formed a crater due to the force of the impact. A single punch. One punch and she broke all of my ribs and melted my insides. Orochimaru fought just before he shed his skin once again, coming out unharmed. That is going to be a problem, Hinata said, as she watched with her Byakugan and noticed that Orochimaru was once again unharmed. Naruto, Hinata, can you both handle Four Eyes? Jiraiya asked, and Naruto just stared at him with his eyebrows raised. Of course you can, Jiraiya said, deadpanned. Naruto and Hinata both ran towards Kabuto while Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizune would deal for Orochimaru. Orochimaru seemed deceived as his eyes weren't looking too bright. Apparently Tsunade wasn't afraid of blood anymore, meaning that he would be going up against two Kage-level shinobi. Shizune he could ignore. He looked towards his sidekick and he knew he wouldn't stand a chance. Naruto had enough raw power to easily match Kage-level shinobi. You know you don't stand a chance, right? Naruto asked. Oh my. Such arrogance, Kabuto replied, smirking while pushing his glasses up. It isn't arrogance when you can back it up, Naruto simply replied, shrugging his shoulders. Besides, you're up against two, Naruto explained. That may be, but I won't go down easily, Kabuto said, and he began running towards both of them. Naruto and Hinata teamed up and ran towards him as well, meeting him at halfway. They immediately engaged in taijutsu. Usually when someone is fighting more than one person at a time, sometimes it might be easier to hit one of them as they can confuse and stumble on each other. However, this didn't apply to Naruto or Hinata. They trained together for years and were in love with each other. They were the meaning of teamwork. Their stances flowed together like water in a river, each one covering the other's blind spots. When one of them attacked, the other would slightly fall back into a defensive stance. Kabuto couldn't do anything except become a punching bag for his duo. Both of them were amazingly skilled in taijutsu, with Hinata's being deadlier. Hinata sidestepped a sloppy punch from Kabuto. She grabbed him by his wrist and tried to break it with a twist. However, Kabuto twisted his body along with it, flipping in the air, preventing his wrist from being broken. Naruto took this opportunity of Kabuto being in the air and then kicked him in the chest, sending him tumbling to the ground. He easily got up and started healing himself. After he was ready, he channeled chakra to his hands and they started to glow and buzz like a saw. Both Naruto and Hinata looked at chakra in his hands with their dojutsu and they both could see that it was definitely some kind of knife made purely with chakra. Be careful, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, and Naruto turned to her. Those are chakra scalpels used to cut muscle and other tissues of the human body during operations, Hinata explained. So, don't let the hands touch you, right? Naruto asked, and she nodded. Yes. Let me try something, Hinata said, and stepped in front of Naruto. Hinata pumped her lungs full of chakra and said, Dokugiri, poison mist. A purple fog came from her mouth and headed towards Kabuto, who was engulfed in a cloud of venom. He hid underground, Hinata said, as she had seen Kabuto with Byakugan. Kabuto suddenly emerged from the ground just beside her and tried an uppercut. Hinata had simply expected such a thing and tilted her body back, coiling herself and delivered a fierce kick to his face. His glasses shattered and he was sent flying onto the ground. Nice one, Naruto commented. He always liked seeing his princess in action. Thank you, she replied. Kabuto got up and spat a bit of blood onto the ground, dropping his glasses as well since they were useless by now. Snap! A sickening crunch was heard through the field as Kabuto realigned his broken nose to its proper place. Can you even see well enough to fight us, Naruto asked, since Kabuto was now without his glasses. If I channel chakra to my eyes, I can see as good as a normal person, Kabuto explained, bragging. Don't count me out just yet, Kabuto replied, grinning. Suddenly, a huge shadow appeared next to Naruto and Hinata, blocking the sun from them. It was a massive brown snake. The snake immediately slammed itself into the ground, trying to squash them, but they jumped aside, evading it. Looks like Orochimaru sent back up, Naruto replied, smirking. Katon, Ryuka no Jutsu, Dragonfire technique, Naruto said, and sent a stream of fire towards the snake. She was engulfed by the fire and disappeared from view. Once the fire was gone, the snake was still in the same place, and it wasn't even scorched as the skin was too rough for such a weak attack. Kabuto jumped on top of its head, and the snake made her way towards Naruto and Hinata, trying to eat them or squash them. It didn't make a difference in the end. The snake opened its mouth and expelled some semi-transparent liquid onto them. They jumped to the side, and the liquid hit the ground. Poison, Hinata said, and Naruto nodded. Futon, Shinkuha, air blade, Hinata said, and exhaled multiple wind blades that were sent towards the snake. The air blades didn't even waver as they hit the snake and sliced up into multiple pieces, making blood spurt all over the field. The snake disappeared in smoke, as well as all the blood. Problem, Kabuto? Naruto asked, chuckling as Kabuto scowled. Kabuto! Orochimaru yelled from his side of the battle, and Kabuto quickly shunshin next to his master. Kuchiyos no Jutsu, summoning technique, Orochimaru said, and traced a line of blood in the tattoo of his only working arm. Both Orochimaru and Kabuto were engulfed in smoke. Once the smoke cleared, a rather large purple snake appeared. The snake was Manda, the boss summon of the Snake Clan, and the strongest of them all. Orochimaru, I want 100 sacrifices for summoning me, Manda said in his deep voice. Of course, Orochimaru replied. I can't summon Katsuyu. I've wasted too much chakra driving them here, Tsunade replied, and Jiraiya nodded. Kuchiyos no Jutsu, summoning technique, Jiraiya said, and he too was enveloped in smoke. Seconds later, he was sitting on top of a very large orange toad. The toad was Gamabunta, the boss of the Toad Clan. Manda and Orochimaru. They are faces I haven't seen in a while, Gamabunta said as he released a cloud of smoke from his pipe. Let's end this, Jiraiya said, and Gamabunta dashed towards the snake with his sword drawn. Gamabunta quickly reached them and tried to stab Manda. Manda simply opened his jaw and caught the blade in it. Gamabunta squirmed to try and get his blade free, but it was in vain. Manda flexed his tail and tried to pierce Gamabunta, making him flip backwards and leaving the sword in Manda's mouth. Manda instantly began sliding towards Orochimaru and threw the sword back at him. Gamabunta jumped to the side to evade the blade, and the sword crashed into the ground, burying itself. You stay, Bachan. I'm going to help Arasani, Naruto said, and jumped away from Tsunade, Shizune, and Hinata. What is he going to do? Tsunade asked. I don't know. He's very unpredictable, Hinata replied, and they shifted their attention towards the Titans' battle. Kuchiyos no Jutsu, summoning technique, Naruto yelled, and slammed his hand onto the ground. Manda and Gamabunta stopped their fighting to see just what exactly was coming to the battlefield. A big cloud of smoke rose from the ground, blocking everyone's view of Naruto. Suddenly, the air was pushed back like a shockwave due to the air displacement, and everyone secured themselves not to get blown away. A massive roar erupted from the smoke that made the ground shake and the cloud of smoke to disperse. The figure was very big, almost twice the size of Gamabunta himself. It had orange fur, very sharp teeth and claws, blood-red eyes with a black slit, and 9 tails swinging freely on its back. After 14 years, the Kyuubi was once again unleashed upon the mortal realm. Kyuubi? Jiraiya stuttered and impaled the sight of the monstrous figure in front of him. Everyone else was in shock as they never expected Jinchuriki to summon their Biju to a fight. Like the fresh air, Kurama? Naruto asked as he stood on top of Kurama's head.
I do. It gives me a chance to stretch my legs,
Kurama replied, showing his foxy grin. Everyone could feel the strong and impressive chakra coming out from the Kyuubi's body. I like challenges and all, but This is ridiculous, Manda said, not really looking forward to finding a Bijuu and a QB of them all. Isn't the QB supposed to be, you know, in the seal? Try to come up with the right words not to piss the QB off. It seems logical to me that I can summon the QB, Naruto said. When you store items in a storage scroll, the items are moved to a pocket dimension created by the scroll. The Haki no Fuin Shiki, a Trigame seal, does the same thing, and creates a more advanced pocket dimension and a few other things. The summoning technique is a space-time technique, and with the QB being the boss summon of the Fox clan, what did you expect to come out? Naruto rhetorically asked, as Jiraiya was trying to piece everything together. He never looked at sword seals that way, but it made sense. The items in the sword seal had to go somewhere. And since the chakra doesn't flow through my coils when I summon him, I don't die, Naruto explained, and Jiraiya dumbly nodded. Stand back, Naruto said, and Gambuto jumped to the side. The Kibi was destructive without even trying, and he wouldn't want to be caught in the crossfire. Kurama, let's go, Naruto said, and both of them inhaled air into their lungs.
Katon, fire stream,
Kyubi said, and expelled a stream of white-hot fire towards Manda. Futon, Renkudan, vacuum wind bullet, Naruto said, and expelled wind bullets that mixed with Kurama's fire, turning them into hot bullets that would pierce and melt everything in their path. Manda was engulfed by the fire, and the ground was destroyed by Naruto's air bullets combined with Kurama's fire. The fire died down, and the only remains was a piece of skin, meaning Manda had slipped away from their attack. Naruto focused his senses and felt chakra signatures beneath the ground. They hid underground, Naruto said, and Kurama jumped back in time to avoid Manda's tail bursting through the ground, trying to stab Kurama. Manda emerged completely, and Kurama roared, making the ground burst into rubble and Manda being thrown back. Manda got up from the ground and coiled, getting ready to pounce. Kurama flexed his tails and tried to flatten the snake, but Manda managed to slide his way through all of Kurama's attempts. Each time Kurama smashed his tail, the entire field was shaken from the power and pressure behind the swing. Manda rose up to bite him, but Kurama managed to swing a tail to hit Manda. However, instead of Manda being thrown back, the snake wrapped itself around Kurama's tail and tried to bite him again. Have a good lunch, Naruto said as 5 clones jumped onto Manda's mouth. The clones instantly began to glow and explode inside the snake's mouth. Manda fell to the ground with his jaw smoking. Damn, brat, Manda hissed, coughing or something similar. Goodbye, Snakey. Amaterasu, Naruto said and looked towards Manda's head, deep in concentration. Black flames erupted around Manda's head and the snake dropped to the ground, rolling and hissing in pain. Orochimaru and Kabuto jumped away from his head and landed on the ground. Manda disappeared in smoke, meaning it went back to his realm to heal. The snake disappeared, but the flames remained there, meaning Manda managed to get rid of them, which meant the snake was still alive. Kurama, end it, Naruto said and jumped off his head.
Okay,
Kurama replied and brought all of his tails above his head. Red and blue chakra was seen flowing in the air. Suddenly all the chakra bubbles condensed and formed a small, perfect spear. Kurama ate the chakra ball and Orochimaru raised an eyebrow.
Bijuu Dama,
Kurama said, and a pure energy ball exploded from Kurama's mouth like a cannon, heading at high speeds towards Orochimaru and Kabuto. Kabuto panicked and blurred through hand seals. He took a bit of Orochimaru's blood and slammed his hands onto the ground. Kuchio's Sanju Rashomon, Kabuto said, and 3 very large defensive structures rose from the ground and stood in the path of the tail beast bomb. The energy spear connected with the Rashomons and exploded in a tunnel of energy. The entire field shook and everyone just stood in awe at the power of the strongest Bijuu. Doton, Doryu Heki, Earthwall, Jiraiya said, and trapped himself along with everyone else inside an Earth Dome to survive the brutal and scorching winds unleashed by the attack. The energy eventually died down and dust started to settle down, clearing the view of everyone. It was very clear the difference between a 4-tailed Bijuu Dama and a true bomb used by the Bijuu. What was once a pretty plain field of grass and flowers was now nothing more than a desert, without a sign of life for miles. Everything was eradicated, leaving nothing to be seen but emptiness. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the sight of the attack, and he could see Orochimaru squirming on the ground, trying to get up, and Kabuto was nowhere to be seen, most likely vaporized. Unbelievable, Jiraiya said in disbelief as he dropped the stone wall and gaped at the sight. It was the second time he had seen a tail beast bomb, and the results still shocked him. Looks like it's the end, Tsunade said, looking at Naruto walking towards Orochimaru, who was on the ground in pain. His whole body was a mess, with broken legs and a closed scorch as well as half his face. This is the end, Orochimaru, Naruto said as he took the sword from his seal and channeled lightning chakra through it. Naruto's ready to cut the head of the snake and end it for good. No! You can't kill me! I'm Orochimaru the Immortal! Orochimaru yelled in frustration as he looked towards Naruto and tried to crawl away. Stay away! Orochimaru said in fear. I never pegged you for a coward, Orochimaru. Begging for your life. Pathetic, Naruto said and brought his sword up to cleave his head for good. Naruto was about to cleave Orochimaru's head when Kabuto burst from the ground with his fist closed. Naruto saw right through him and jumped back to avoid it. As Naruto was jumping back, he placed his hands on the ground. Golden chains erupted near Kabuto and pierced him through both his shoulders and ankles, pinning him to the ground. Damn, that Kabuto always interrupting, Naruto said. Kabuto was on the ground, barely conscious, with blood dripping from his mouth. It looked at the tail beast bomb did a fair amount of damage to him. Amaterasu, Naruto said, and Kabuto's body erupted in flames. Kabuto tried to shake them off, but the chains held him in place, and the only thing he could do was scream until he was dead, and nothing more than ashes on the ground. 5 seconds later, Yakushi Kabuto was no more. Damn brat! You will pay for what you've done, Orochimaru hissed, and disappeared in smoke as the distraction had been enough for Orochimaru to shunshin away to safety. Damn it! He got away. I had him, but his assistant had to interfere, Naruto yelled in frustration. Orochimaru invaded the leaf, tried to kill his son Daime, and summoned his family to do his bidding, and once again he got away. Don't worry, Naruto. At least we got his right-hand man, Dry said, and Naruto sighed. There wasn't much more they could do. I guess. But next time, he won't get away, Naruto said.
I'm going, Kit,
Kurama said, and Naruto nodded. Thanks, Kurama, Naruto replied. This wasn't half bad. Let's go to the hotel to rest and pack for the journey home, Tsunai said, and everyone nodded. After the battle, everyone was mostly fine except a few scratches and broken wrists, but nothing life-threatening. And that is the end of chapter 28. Thank you all for watching this fanfic reading of chapters 26 through 28. Stay tuned for chapters 29 for 31, and I believe that those will be some very enjoyable chapters for y'all to, listen through and whatever. And yeah, I guess that's about it. That's all I have to say on that front. So yeah, next in terms of videos coming up, half Hyuga, half Uchiha, Naruto coming up very soon, and I've got plans for chapter 2 of the Pokemon anime rewrite, so stay tuned for that and some other stuff in between. So yeah, get ready for that. And in terms of other stuff, watch me community tab like a hawk, follow me on Twitter, which is AnimeStage4. Again, you guys get to see, me post some funny stuff over there. Haven't already get enough of my videos and some other stuff in between. Instagram for memes and smartphone stuff in between. Well, actually just memes, but just Instagram, so whatever. And finally, join my Discord server, which is kind of important because it's another way for you guys to get enough of my videos. And you can also kind of interact with me directly. I do go for DMs, and I do interact with my community when I have the time. So yeah, if you guys want to interact with me directly, or even get some direct messages with me, my DMs are open. So yeah, that should be about it for all those. So yeah, follow me on Twitter, AnimeStage4, Instagram, anime_stage4, and join my Discord server. And finally, shout out my $10 patrons. Their names on screen, as well as my $50 patron Anguish. And yeah, that should be about it for everything. Except one more thing. Again, let's get to 41k, and yeah, that's about it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, share the video. This has been your boy, the Anime Sage, signing out. Peace. Yorha. Cindy Shakles is out. Bye-bye. Peace.
Hi, this is Stephanie Shea, voice actress for Sailor Moon, Hinata, Orihime, and you are watching Anime Sage.